Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Yeah! Thursday, the week's winding down.
Sure
This
is.
is actually like Friday and a normal week because the Browns, again, play on Saturday. So we're only 2 days away now.
Plus, it's the holiday. It's the month of December, so pretty much every day is Friday.
Doesn't it
Have you
feel
been
that way in
upstairs?
December?
Yeah. Have you been upstairs in any kind of an office place right now? There is nobody doing anything
The
upstairs.
suits are not here.
Christmas break started like December 18th.
Absolutely.
They move it back every year.
Yeah, a little bit. I started
that's a
around
fact.
Halloween myself, and I've just been plowing through. I'm just like wearing pajamas.
Hey,
at
if the
desk.
retail stores are going to do it, we can do
Absolutely.
it too.
We can do it too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're definitely in. So you're probably wondering, where the hell is everybody? Bull is off. He has some things he needs to take care of today.
Either his foot or his hand or his he's getting a massage. I forget what it is. He's got a bunch of stuff.
Talk about string of bad luck. G. Bush isn't here because he's changing a flat tire right now. This guy has had the worst luck when it comes to being here at 11 o'clock on a regular basis.
I called him this morning for our morning meeting, and he answers the phone and goes, Anthony, I got a flat tire.
Oh, that's no good.
It's unbelievable. It really is.
And he's trying to use a fix-a-flat, by the way, to try and fix that, which is doomed.
Yeah, I've never had success with those. Have you?
No. Although my family's trash, so we've been riding around on those tires that have been fixed by Fix-a-Flat for like 6 months after you're supposed to get a new tire, you know?
AAA works for me. I call AAA. Hey, I got a flat.
Yeah,
I'll
come
be in the
fix it.
house. Tell me when you get here.
It's cold out. You might want to wear a coat. I'll be
Speaking
inside.
of cold, man, is it coming.
Yeah.
Betsy tells me it's going to be below zero in all likelihood with the wind chill for sure. She says tomorrow and Saturday. So
I enjoyed having her on yesterday. I watched that.
She was great.
That was great.
I mean, no one breaks it down like Betsy Kling. She's awesome. I've
Knows
been
her
picking her
stuff.
brain. She helped you out a little bit because you
did.
had a family issue that you were asking me about,
Yeah.
trying to plan when we do Christmas.
Yep.
So Betsy's kind of like the Grinch that stole Christmas.
I
for
felt
you
like
guys.
such a loser. I'm texting you. My mom loves Betsy and wants to know if Betsy thinks we should cancel Christmas.
That's an answer, yes.
Betsy says yes, cancel Christmas.
So, no, Betsy appreciates the compliment. She appreciates your mom being a big fan. But Betsy is, see, in weather, it's really interesting because you don't want to be the boy who cried wolf or the girl who cried wolf because this is serious life and death stuff.
Sure. Right.
But this is the kind of person she is. She texted me at 7 o'clock this morning, very early this morning, saying, Jay, I think your mom is still in Sandusky, if I'm not mistaken, because she was in Phoenix and she likes to winter in Phoenix. And she said, just letting you know, they're going to get the most serious wins. It's going to start tomorrow. They're going to be in the 65-plus category.
Wow.
You may want to start making plans. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
nice.
I really
that
did.
wind's strong enough to knock over a mom. It is.
Knock my mom over.
You know? Well, Peggy Polk wouldn't stand a chance against a 65.
She'd be gone.
A gale like that.
Dust in the wind.
No way. Peggy'd be gone.
Peggy.
Well, I showed my son the clip of Betsy being on because I'm taking him to his first game Saturday. And I said, buddy, I just want you to know, like, this is what we're looking at here. So I showed him the clip, and he's like, all right, yeah, I think I want to do this. So I'm taking him. I'm taking AJ to the game Saturday. And
Nice.
We have club seats, so I said if it gets too cold, we can go inside.
That's cheating.
But
That's cheating.
We're going to
That's
give it a try.
You're not roughing it at that point.
No, it's 48 below
blaming you.
zero.
I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying it's not a huge sacrifice to take your kid to eat all the chicken fingers he can in the warm club area of the
In the
Browns game
72
to
degree
ignore the New
climate-controlled
Orleans
club
Saints.
area.
we will
That's what a lot of people are going to be doing.
We will be in the seats for the bulk of the game, but I told him if it gets too cold, we do have a little.
That's a first world problem.
We have a cheat code. We can go inside.
I have I have distinct memories of being at extremely cold Browns games at Municipal Stadium. My parents had 2 rows of seats in section 34. And they had but I remember those games being so cold, but being packed, I'm a little kid, and being packed together with so many meaty dudes and big ants and stuff like that.
They were your wind block.
I could not have been warmer. I was just like, I'm like, is anyone else hot? I have so many ants and guys wearing Zubaz around me.
And you were probably getting osmosis heat from their oxidation, right?
100%. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely catching some of those vapors. But yeah.
All right. G. Bush made it. Are you okay? The flat is fixed. No problem.
Oh, yeah.
Fix the flat works for you?
Fix the flat
Because we were talking about that. We've never had great success with it.
Oh, no. It worked for now.
Yeah.
Don't
For the day.
That's their slogan. It works for now.
For a couple hours.
I bet you picked up a nail. 90 is littered with construction
It's
nails.
so crazy. I'm like, man, is my tire flat? And you kind of think maybe the road's a little rough. And you're like, oh, no, that's a rim.
Yeah.
I feel the rim.
Yeah, I got to pull over.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you made it here one piece. Busy show. Aditi's going to join us. Oh, I want to say congrats to the Three Musketeers on the Cleveland Browns, who are the Pro Bowl representatives this year. Joel Bitonio makes it for the 5th consecutive year. Congrats to him. Nick Chubb, 4th straight. Myles Garrett, 4th straight. So those are the three amigos. Those are the guys that, if you were to make a list of the guys who have lived up to their expectations this year, I think I might throw, I don't know. Is that list complete for you?
I think it's complete. Who do you think's missing?
Jacoby Brissett. He's the one that exceeded my expectations.
But he's not a Pro Bowler.
But they were still, no, not a Pro Bowler, but I'm saying if you make a list of the guys who have outkicked their coverage or played up to the level we thought they would.
I would put DPJ on that list.
DPJ has definitely turned the corner. Yeah. So congrats to those guys. It's a huge honor.
It's a question, though. I am curious, in this new format, what will Joel Bitonio, what is an offensive lineman's role in a flag football game?
Not much.
Like, what do? Do you just
drink beer?
I mean,
Probably.
great. If they let him do that, that's great. But literally, what is he supposed to do?
I don't know.
Is he supposed to stand up and just kind of use his shoulders to push around? Like,
I mean,
what's he supposed to do?
Maybe there is still, I would imagine there would still be a pass rush to try to get the quarterback's
Are you
flag.
allowed to touch the guys?
Yeah, there's got to be contact at the point.
I truly don't watch because I think it's all stupid, so I don't watch anything Pro Bowl.
But you're going to watch this year out of curiosity,
Well,
won't
I
you?
don't, but there's going to be new events, right? There's like skills competitions.
Yes.
I'm sure he'll participate in that type of stuff.
Yeah,
All right.
but the game itself, like flag football, I don't know what the role of the lineman will be.
See, I would do it a little different. I would have linemen do stuff that they traditionally don't. So
Running back, tight end, quarterback.
I would have them be the quarterbacks.
I'd watch that.
Yeah. Find a
is the
unique way
quarterback?
to hurt these
I'd
guys.
watch that.
Yeah.
I'd watch that for sure.
So would I.
I'd watch Myles Garrett as a tight end.
Or a big man relay. So you have defensive linemen and offensive. So you have 2 offensive linemen, 2 defensive linemen. So basically, you have to stagger them. O-line starts first, then you go to D-line, then you hand the baton.
Yeah.
So who would win the 4x100?
Well, you know what would be fun to watch that in the 4x1 relay? The skills players get to pick 4 guys. The big fellas get 3 guys, and they get a 100-yard head start. Could the skills guys catch them?
I would watch that.
That would be
I would
fascinating.
watch all of that. I'm there
They
for
need to get
everything.
creative with stuff like that.
They do, yeah.
Because that's what fans want. Nobody wants to watch them play this touch football game. They're just gonna
Especially
bump into
when
each
they're
other.
just going through the motions.
We understand that you got to honor these guys who have had great seasons. You have to recognize them. They all
just
want to
want
get
the
together.
contract
Let them go to
bonuses.
Hawaii.
That's
get
all
the
they
contract
That's what it's
bonus.
about.
And,
And their families
But
and the trip.
find something else for them to do other than football. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be football. I think we talked about American Gladiator competitions one time. That'd be a blast.
You know what? What we should do is we're going to call this Fix the Pro Bowl, and we'll dedicate like an hour of one of our shows
fix
after
it.
the Browns are done.
We have time.
And we'll
So
all
you
come
mean
up
tomorrow?
with what we want to see at the Pro Bowl.
I do a weekend basketball tournament.
Yeah.
Too many injuries. Too many injuries.
Yeah.
You think they get injured?
I think that the GMs would be
Teams-
like, I'm not having my
absolutely.
guy
The
tear out an
GMs and owners
Achilles.
would never allow that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
that-
That's true.
it would be
So
fun.
it would
It
have
would
to
be
be
fun.
something that would, safe, as safe as possible.
I'd watch him play Double Dare. Get Mark
Hey.
Summers back.
Hey,
He's fine.
Nostalgia is a funny thing. I just morphed back. All the way back. I'm like, man, I used to be trying to figure out how to get on these shows. And
Oh,
they'd be
yeah.
like, you got to send a letter in. Little did I know I had no shot in hell to be on them shows. But I just remember watching them.
You might have. I mean,
My parents wasn't.
oh, yeah, my family
They were
wasn't
down
going
with
on-
it.
My
How-
family
how
wasn't
you
going on
getting there?
Family Double Dare.
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
We would have murdered each other.
So congrats to the 3 amigos that are going to the Pro Bowl. We're going to talk about Jarvis Landry and his return to Cleveland since for the first time since becoming a Saint. And also, Deshaun Watson had some interesting comments yesterday about his relationship with Kevin Stefanski, something you've talked about at length on the show. is that that's a big part of the reason why he's here. He reiterated that yesterday.
No one's still going to believe it. I've said it. Aditi said it. Now Deshaun himself has said it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to believe it.
Why does he?
He only came here for $230 million.
Well, look,
Shut up.
even if Deshaun says it, you can understand the skepticism. The check was the biggest. Now, you want to impress me? Tell me that the Dolphins gave him an offer of $250 million, and he said no to that to come to Stefanski. That's sometimes I can't hear your words because your actions drown them out.
And let's hold on to this
because I got a unique answer for it.
And I want to try and unpack the timeline of how all this came together as best that I know it.
Okay.
And it's a lot longer
because you did write that article about.
I wrote a 2,000-word article about 5 days after he came.
Yeah, about how it got down in the meeting and all that stuff. So yeah.
Someone chimed in. How is Denzel Ward not a Pro Bowler? Really?
Who said that?
No,
this person will remain nameless, but someone on our text chain. And
Interesting.
He's had games where I'm looking at him going, who the hell are you?
He's an alternate, I think, and I'm not sure why he's even.
He is an alternate.
What?
How did he make it as an alternate?
Name recognition?
It is.
It has to be reputation.
Wyatt Teller's an alternate, and he hasn't
And that's reputation, too, because they've both taken a huge
I'm
line.
not no hater. I want you to get all you worth. I'm not going to hate if you made the Pro Bowl. Congratulations. I'll just say this. Pro Football Focus has him graded at times this year as one of the worst corners in the league.
I know. Yeah.
Not just the team, just league.
We can talk about all that when we get to the Brown stuff, which is going to come up later. But we got to start with the Cavs, who we keep saying, well, maybe this was the most impressive win. Well, maybe this was the most impressive win. I still think the Celtics wins, both of them, rank as 1 and 1A, but now we have a 1B, and that's what they did last night. They beat Milwaukee 114-106 after losing the 2 games against the Bucks in Milwaukee. They had a 24-point lead, and I got to tell you guys, I was nervous as hell. I was watching with my son, and I kept I said early in the fourth quarter, I said it's going to come down to a last-second shot, which it damn near did.
Yep.
If that 3 didn't get stuck in the rim and the backboard and went in, it's a one-possession game. They held on. That's the good news. Donovan Mitchell played great. Finished with 36 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. But Giannis, as I'm watching it, I have to give Tyvis credit because I know he's an MVP. I get that. But as I was watching Giannis will this team back from a 24-point hole to at one point cut it to 6, I was thinking about how emphatic Tyvis has been that he is.
Oh, he's insane.
The best player. He's unstoppable.
Yeah.
He is what he wants to be. He is unstoppable, both going to the rim and as a facilitator and even shooter. What did we make of last night's game?
The Cavs, I'll start off on the point you just made about Giannis. They focused their entire defense on stopping him. Anytime he got in the lane, there's 3 and 4 dudes around him.
And he got 45.
And he's still getting what he wants. So it was a really impressive performance from him. I've said it on the show 100 times. NBA teams that reach that level that the Bucks are at, once you're a champion, they play hard for about 5 minutes. And the Cavs took the punch. Like, they fell behind early, and the Bucks were like, all right, whatever. Like, But then you could almost see it like, okay, let's go. And they threw their best punch, and they almost got him. And they had the Cavs reeling. They had them on the ropes, but they held on. And as you said, like, I thought it was going to come down to the last minute, last second shot, and you just felt like the champs are coming, the champs are coming, the champs are coming. And the kids were like, where's the clock? Where's the clock? How much longer do we have to hold on
They
to
even
this?
said on the broadcast, it feels like the clock is moving backwards right now.
They would have lost that game last year, I think, in that same situation, in that same thing, without
Donovan.
I think so.
Probably.
Garland made some really big mistakes. I thought he took some bad shots early in the shot clock.
Yeah.
Like around the 6-minute mark when I'm starting to think, okay, this is where you want to just drain the shot clock as much as you can. He was jacking up not even good shots early in the clock, had a bad turnover, and I just felt like, oh no, this is becoming like signature for this team, blowing these huge leads, but they did hold on.
They held on. And I was watching the game last night, and I was thinking back, I think it was the year of the championship. I meant to look this up, and I didn't. I think it was the year that they won the championship. They had a game at Atlanta late in the year, and they got their doors blown off by Atlanta, and everyone was like, oh my God, the Hawks are going to get them. And I remember writing that night, listen, guys, this is no big deal because the Cavs didn't defend the way that they would in the playoffs.
Right.
And Milwaukee's kind of doing that now. Like, Milwaukee's not guarding the Cavs the way they're going to guard them in May if they see this team again. And that's the one thing that's really important to keep in mind. I'll make another point. Last week I went to Detroit and spent some time with Mike Brown, the old Cavs coach. He's done a fantastic job of turning around the Kings. I'm doing a story on Mike in Sacramento and all that. Probably come out sometime in January. And Mike said, like, listen, like he's got Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. And he said these guys last year were one of the best pick and roll combinations in the league. But when you get to the playoffs, teams are going to take that away. Teams are going to take away what you do best every single time, especially the later that you go. You have to find alternative ways to score. So he's trying to get these guys to understand you're going to get your numbers during the regular season playing this way. It's not going to work in April, May, and June. Yeah. And that's what the Cavs have to start playing for is you can run pick and roll with Darius and Evan. You can run pick and roll with Donovan and Jarrett. But teams are going to take that. They're going to blitz the ball handler. They're going to get the ball out of his hands. You're going to do all these different things. So how else can you score? What other ways are you going to be able to put the ball in the basket? And that's the next step for the Cavs to figure out.
I think the fourth quarter was a preview of that.
It was. When things break down or when teams are really coming at you and they're taking away what you do best, what's your secondary? Yeah. What's your third option? And that's what I think that's the next step in the Cavs progression is figuring that out.
What'd you see last night, G? Anything interest you? Catch your eye?
Oh, a whole lot of stuff. Hold on, let me wait.
Yeah, you process.
Y'all heard that? Y'all heard that? MVP.
Yeah, again.
MVP.
Oh boy.
Again.
Yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about.
But I was also watching Giannis get his. Giannis is the MVP.
Giannis.
I mean, it's not even close to me.
Hey, Giannis, like you said, he unstoppable. Like he's good. If he could get to the rack, it's done. I mean, you can put.
He has a handle.
He is the closest thing I've seen to prime LeBron being unstoppable getting to the rim. It just you can't do anything about it.
Remember Shaq at LSU? Shaq would put the ball on the floor and go right by everybody, and that's what I thought of yesterday.
And he could go left, he could go right. But I will say this, in the playoffs, Jason, you are correct. In playoffs, things will slow down. They will take all of your best options away. So you got to figure out a way to be able to move the ball. Sometimes I watch and see how good the Cavs are doing by their ball movement. Yeah, you can do pick and roll in some of those things, but the ball movement is what gets people open, and that translates to playoff basketball. But I will just say this. People get on me all the time. They say, man, you that Kyrie Irving comparison you made yesterday, G. Bush, that was out of line.
I almost drove off the road. I watched what you had to say. I almost drove off the road. I texted Mike. I'm like, G's lost his mind. He's lost his mind.
I'm telling you, man, by the end of the season, you're going to have some people come back and be like, you know what, damn it, G. Bush, you was kind of right.
You tried to tell the people, the good people of Cleveland, that Colin Sexton had better numbers than Kyrie.
He did. I mean, he averaged 25. I was just giving you the numbers.
Well, you got to look at the teams that they played on at the time.
That was tongue-in-cheek.
It's like when Kevin Love came here from Minnesota, everybody's like, he's a rebounding machine, he's a scoring machine. Right. Well, there was nobody else there. Yeah. He had to gather numbers, and that's what he did.
My name is the Duke of Knee Jerk. Listen, you know how I get down.
Knees were jerking
Can you get a sweatshirt that says that?
The Duke of Knee Jerk. When you watch Donovan Mitchell today, in the moment, it's undeniable. He is just on that same level as Kyrie. And at the same time, this dude don't care about nobody. Like, he went to the rack on Giannis, like, well, you get out of here. And when it's crunch time and Darius Garland may move the ball and fumble the ball, or he still act like he can't bring the ball, Donovan Mitchell say, give me that ball right here, I'm going to show you what to do. And he closed them out. You talk about 30-something points a game?
Mike, is G. Bush nuts on this?
Oh, yeah. But it comes from a good place and a real place. I'm excited as he is. I wouldn't necessarily say Colin Sexton I'd rather have him than Kyrie Irving necessarily.
No, that's not it. No. Colin Sexton, no. Don't get it twisted. The Colin Sexton was just to prove a point.
Facetious.
If Kyrie played Donovan Mitchell one-on-one today, Kyrie would win. But that doesn't mean I'd rather have Kyrie.
I don't know about that, Jason.
Yes, he would.
I don't know that.
Neither of you know that. Neither of you know that.
Remember, when you're one-on-one, it's what you do with the ball.
That's exactly it.
And Donovan's a great, for what he is, Donovan can handle the ball, but Kyrie might be one of the best to ever do it.
Kyrie might beat everybody in the league one-on-one, but that doesn't mean I want him on my team.
Right.
Donovan's a better fit for the team. Donovan's better all-around game probably than Kyrie. But Kyrie, when you're a point guard, you have so many responsibilities outside of just scoring the basketball. you have to, as the point guard, Kyrie struggled with this at times. You have to be aware. Evan Mobley hasn't touched it the last 4 times down the floor. I got to get my guy the ball. Right. I got to get him a look. I got to get him a touch. You have to be aware of so much more. It's really hard. There are examples, Chris Paul in Phoenix, but it's hard and it's not ideal for your point guard to be your number one option. You don't want it to be your point guard. So the Cavs are better off having it be Donovan rather than a Kyrie or a Darius in this case. And Darius really was that last year.
Speaking of Kyrie, the Nets are coming.
They are.
And they're going to be here the day after Christmas. That's a hot ticket.
We're going to see.
I've already looked into that.
You know, that's the great part about basketball. They get an opportunity to go out there every other night, sometimes back-to-backs to prove it. Kyrie going to be in the building. Guess what? I
think he's played here like once since he left.
Kyrie is in the building. Guess what? You got to see Donovan Mitchell. And for all y'all fans out there, thank you very much for going ahead and continue to give those MVP chants. We want those things to be louder because the more and more it happens, people's going to start mentioning, you know what, that Donovan Mitchell.
He's in the conversation.
One more reason, though, that like you'd rather have Donovan Mitchell than Kyrie is that at no point is the GM of the Cavs going to suddenly get like a phone call in the middle of the night from Donovan Mitchell saying, I've decided I don't want to play basketball anymore. I'm going to go find Bigfoot. Right. Which is something that Kyrie really might do. He might do that like next week.
Facts.
And then they're missing their best player again.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. It's just the mental capacity, I think, and just the stability.
He is a loose cannon, and you just don't know what you're going to get.
We saw what the Cavs had to give up to get Donovan, right? We saw it was a war chest of picks, Larry Markkinen, the whole deal. Kyrie has no trade value right now in basketball. No. I was talking to an executive a couple weeks ago. I said, could they trade him at all? Does anybody want him? And maybe the Lakers in the right deal.
He said he wanted traded, and then the Nets came out and said.
Well, Durant asked for the trade. Kyrie opted back into his contract. He's crazy. You never know what he's going to say. What he's going to say next. So
we say
like
that kind of like flippantly, but. There is something.
There's something there.
It's
and I don't
real.
mean to make light of it. I don't
want to make light of it either. But when you look at just the personality and some of the things that he has said in his career and done,
I saw
that's
when he was here.
Stick of TNT on your roster.
I saw it early in his career when he was here, and I was like, man,
he's a contrarian.
There's just something here, and it's just grown.
Even had some
and
issues at Duke
left.
in his 1 year there.
Well, Jay, you just said something, Polk. Today, and this is in general in our society. Everybody is a contrarian. People think that the smarter you are, it has a correlation to do with how much you disagree with regular facts.
Brand. Yeah, it's a brand.
Like, it's just like, okay, well, if you guys are over there, I can stand out by going over here and saying the most obscure, crazy stuff.
It's the hot take era.
Yeah. And then you got money, so the money prevention shields you from any sort of repercussions. And then at the end of the day, you just look at those people and be like, well, social media, you could put something up. And even if it's the craziest thing anybody has ever heard, you could get 2,000 likes.
Yeah.
And that's
why it exists.
I don't think he doesn't believe a lot of stuff he's saying. He likes the pushback. He likes getting that reaction from people and being the person who says, I'm not going to go with everybody else on this. That's what it comes down to with a lot of his. I think his stuff,
brand,
which isn't as crazy or anything. One thing, just back to the Cavs real quick, that I loved seeing yesterday was some of the adjustments that, I'll be honest, I probably underestimated J.B. Bickerstaff early on in his Cavs tenure. And I think I love watching what he's doing. I love watching their rapport with him. I love watching how he is using. I like watching his rotation right now. I like when Evan Mobley got into foul trouble early, how he all of a sudden Jared Allen's covering it again, whether he wanted to or not, and then Kevin Love's helping out on him. They knew that he was going to get 45, but they adjust for their weaknesses by just I won't say they accepted that it's hard to say Jared Allen had a great game when the guy he was guarding had 45 points. But when your defensive plan is to, accepting that he's going to get his and then just do the best you can of making it hard as possible for him, then Jared Allen did a hell of a job on him last night. He really did. He bodied him up. And he got his points too. And as much as your MVP candidate looked good, he also got that on like 30 shots or something. He had bad shooting last night.
He was volume shooting. I know you like the rotation, but there were points that I know he can't play every second, but there were points during the last 15 minutes of the game, the last 3 of the third and then the whole fourth, where Mitchell was out. Obviously, it was on in the third quarter. They brought him back in. He hit that glass 3. Right before Milwaukee came back and answered it. One of the most bizarre 4-second finishes of a quarter you'll see. Yeah. But I kept screaming, Get him back
Yeah, I thought
in
they
the
were trying
game.
to- were they trying to save him or something?
I think they were trying to keep him fresh for the
Yeah.
end, but I'm watching 24 turn into 12 like
Man,
this.
them boys-
Get a timeout and get your star back in the game.
Yeah, there was a point in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter where I felt like Peyton Manning going timeout.
Yeah,
Timeout.
yeah,
And they were not calling it.
And Darius just went and attacked, and I think he missed, and the ball went out, and they called it out on Milwaukee, and they got it back, and I think they scored. But I thought there are moments where I think JB just wants to see how they're going to react under the stress test. But I'm sitting there going,
They didn't react well.
timeout. And I'll hold judgment. I love JB. I think he's an unbelievable human. Like, the whole family of Bickerstaffs is terrific. I know them a little bit. I know his wife a little bit. I think they're great.
Something bad's coming.
But no, he's just got to prove it in the postseason.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
You have to prove it. Like Ty Lue.
Is he the right guy for this project?
I have no idea.
You
Because
don't
he's
know
never
yet?
had the opportunity. Like, look at Ime Udoka. Like, okay, the personal issues aside, first-year coach going through it in Boston, got him to the finals.
I know,
Like,
it's
that's
unreal.
unheard of.
Yeah, it is.
And the two teams that I think are better than the Cavs
Unless
right
you're
now.
David Blatt.
Milwaukee. Don't do that. We're going to fight.
That was in spite of, not because of.
You see how I split that?
Oh, my God. Yeah, Udoka added to Boston. Blatt took from Cleveland. But anyway, so let's see how Joe Mazzulla does now as a first-year coach in Boston. Let's see if he has the same type of success.
Rank the top three in the is it Milwaukee, Boston, Cleveland?
I think so, in that
I
order.
do too.
I think it's Milwaukee, Boston,
And
Cleveland.
I think that even though the Cavs won last night, I think there's a clear delineation right now. And the reason I say that is because the game on the Friday after Thanksgiving, when the Cavs had a 17-point lead, and they gave up a 25-2 run. You talk about finding that switch.
Yep.
Where's our playoff switch? There it is, 25-2.
Yep.
We saw that again last night. When you get to the playoffs, you're not playing 5 minutes a night at that level. You're playing 35
That's
minutes
exactly
at
right.
that level.
That's exactly
and I
right.
just don't think they're ready.
Milwaukee's
They need
won
a
a
shooter.
championship.
They need a three-point shooter for sure.
They do. Milwaukee's won a championship. Boston's made it to the finals. They know how to play. They know how to navigate December, January, February, March to play for April, May, and June. Cavs still have to figure that out. I have no idea if JB's the guy or not. I know one thing. They had a guy who was the guy, and that was Ty. He was terrific in the postseason, and he's not here now. So now let's see. I don't know if JB is or not. I hope he is because I really like him.
If he can get his team to play defense hard all the time, I think he will be the guy, because it's the most impressive thing about the Cavs is you can see their potential, like not offensively but defensively. Like when Jared Allen or Mobley are on the perimeter, there's times where countless times where they just switch. And you would think a big shouldn't be able to cut off guards. Like there's times where they cut them off the two dribbles and make them, swing the basketball. To have two bigs like that and two rim protectors, I mean, they got the potential to be lights out. They're already number one in the league right now defensively.
Right.
And that's with certain lapses, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they got the potential. It's just about whether or not they can do that consistently when everybody else gives them that push in the playoffs, because they're going to give you some different energy.
I have a really obnoxious question for you, Jason. Do you think that there is any way that I say this after watching that Utah game, do you think there is any way that the Cavs could have pulled out that trade without including Markkanen?
No.
No way?
I wish.
No, for the talent and for the money. They needed the contract.
So
to
they
make
knew
the
what
deal
he
work.
was then, because nobody was like so pro Markkanen last
I
year.
mean, Markkanen hit some big shots last year.
Yeah, he did. I loved him. I hated seeing him go. That's why I'm asking.
Well, Markkanen finally got the Chicago stink off because he was never the player in Chicago he was supposed to be. He had a good year here, and I give the Cavs a lot of credit because they were searching for a wing last year. They were looking for a small forward. There was none to go get, so they just traded for Markkanen and turned him into one.
Yeah.
And if you really want to dial it back, the contract that they signed Larry Nance to set this deal up because he made all his money up front, and then the contract got lower, which made him more appealing. So they do the deal. They get Markkanen. They probably overpay Markkanen a little bit based on the production that he had in Chicago, but he's lived up to the contract, certainly. He had a great year here last year. He had a good year. He made some big shots. He had some good games. I did not look at Lauri Markkanen as a cornerstone of this franchise at any point. And he's having a wonderful year in Utah.
Now he could be a big piece.
He could be. I still would rather have Donovan.
Oh, of course.
So,
That wasn't the question.
So
No, we're getting
Of
greedy. We're
course
saying
not.
Donovan
The question is,
and
was there
Laurie.
some-
What could be? What it
Hey
could
guys,
be.
have you met Isaac Okoro, Utah? Would you
See,
like to take a dance with him?
I think the interchangeable piece in that was probably Abaji.
Yeah.
Because he was a rookie and had.
Yep.
But in terms of Markkanen and Collin, I think those were both pillars that had to be part
I
of the
haven't paid
deal.
much attention to Abaji. How is he?
He's not hardly playing.
No.
Really?
Yeah. He's a rookie. I mean, he was a 4-year guy at Kansas, so
Right.
that tells you right there.
Yeah, I know. If you play 4 years, are you really ready for the
There's
NBA?
a reason why.
you're
There's a reason
right.
you had to
You're
stay
right.
in college all
In
that
this time,
Yeah.
if you're there 3,
Yeah.
there's question. If you're there 4, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
you're tripping.
Are your parents professors and they're making you stay? Because
I will say this, man. Isaac Okoro, you can stay on the court if you're going to hit them corner threes, dog.
I know. He had a nice little game yesterday.
Decent game. You know, Jason, I think they talk about his defensive efficiency. Like, he's been really hot over the last 8 to 10 games playing defense well. I don't know how long that can last. But if they're going to go all defense and, he's a guy, do you like the lineup better? Because I know they had Stevens in there and they put Dean Wade. You got to change your name,
trying
too.
everything.
Yeah, they tried everything
does.
there. So what are your thoughts on
I don't
that?
think. I mean, Okoro's fine in the regular season. Okoro's not going to be part of this rotation in the playoffs. You can't have that big of a liability offensively in a postseason series for exactly what we've just been talking about. The way they're going to scheme you differently. Like, teams ignore him now.
well, you can if you're getting enough at the other side, though. Kid.
Yeah, but
I mean, Golden State.
You can, but I think that they have enough defensively that they don't need him at
Oh,
the
okay.
other side.
All right. They have other guys that can do what you need in the playoffs.
Between Mobley and Allen, I think they can get enough defensively. I don't know that you need a defensive specialist on the wing in the postseason series. And maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to.
Before we leave the Cavs, I asked you, is it Milwaukee, Boston, Cleveland? Right now, Milwaukee is a full game ahead of the Cavs, who are in the 3. They're a half game ahead of the Celtics, who are in the 2. All 3 of those teams would have the best record in the West. The Cavs would have the best record in the West by a couple of games. Is that the pecking order for you right now, Milwaukee, Boston, Cleveland?
Man, I don't want to see Brooklyn first round, I tell you that.
They scare me too, man.
That's nothing I want to see.
They're figuring it out.
Yeah, and
Last night I think they were up by like 35 points at one point.
It is the age and the volatility of that team that gives me hope. That gives me
They
hope.
could implode at any moment.
They could implode
Yeah.
at any time, and so hopefully that's what.
You're rooting for that 3 a.m. phone
Yes.
call where he's going to look for Bigfoot.
If you count the volatility into it, purely basketball, I'd say that the Cavs are still below those guys. I think just right now, but if you take into account the volatility and the Kyrie factor, then I put them.
Is that how you see it? Milwaukee, Boston, Cleveland, Nets?
I think right now the record says they're a little better than what they are. I like all the pieces of the parts. Obviously, I'm drinking a Donovan Mitchell Kool-Aid, but you look at the East, if you said they got the Miami Heat, could they lose? Sure they could. If they got the Brooklyn Nets in the round, sure they could lose that. If they got the 76ers, they could lose that.
It's very close.
The Hawks,
Stacked, and it is close.
it's close. So
Yeah.
I don't think now they're in the top 3, but it's a work in progress. I think they can be there by their record and by the way they play if they continue through the long haul.
That game in a couple of days is like a Christmas present to all of us.
Oh, yeah.
fun.
We get
It'll
to
be
see.
fun.
I almost wish it was a Christmas Day game. That'd be a fun day
Yeah.
because everybody's just sitting around watching TV. But it gives you something to look forward to the next day because that is going to be. There's a lot of interest in that game.
I was like, why are we on Christmas?
I'm glad it's not Christmas Day.
We need to get back
My
to it.
family's fighting in the garage, and I don't get to watch the game.
Next year, the Cavs will be on Christmas.
Okay,
next
they had
year.
to wait a
will
I
be
little
on
think so.
Christmas
Yeah,
Day.
and I don't think the league. I think everybody's surprised how early this thing's come together. They're one game behind the best record in the NBA.
But I mean, they were cooking teams last year. They
We were
2 or
freaked
3
out last
seeds
year.
year before
but
they
Joe,
But
at
last
the
year
end of
was
the
the
year,
crazy one.
But
They were trending down.
It didn't feel sustainable last year, and then they had the injuries, and it wasn't sustainable.
Right.
This is sustainable.
Sure.
And real quick before we pivot, I know we got Maurice. You mentioned the West, and I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. I can't remember a time in the NBA when so many small market teams had this many big stars. When you look at Donovan in Cleveland, John Morant in Memphis, Jokic, who we haven't even talked about in
Wow.
Denver,
Oh, I
two-time
know.
MVP, could be a
We
three-time
just ignore
MVP.
him.
Giannis.
In Milwaukee. I can't remember a time when so many superstars were in small markets across the NBA. And I'm just really curious. I mean, we could spend a whole
and
segment.
not
on this.
all of them are on first contracts. You can understand how it might happen on their first contracts.
Yeah.
but
well, a lot of times they sign the second and then they force their way out 2 years
True.
into the second.
yeah.
2 of them that you just named, I believe, are not American. And I wonder how much what we value comes into play with that.
That's
because
interesting.
they might not be as necessarily interested in chasing money.
Blinded
or
by the lights of
titles
LA.
Or the lights of LA or New York. like they might be more comfortable in a place that's a little more quiet.
That's absolutely
European,
true.
you know?
Giannis has said that in Milwaukee, and obviously Jokic in Denver.
It's just that's what you have to depend on if you're like a franchise. Is you just got to like hope that they had like a rough upbringing in Greece where they were mistreated as an immigrant, and then they're just like, I appreciate everything about Milwaukee.
And Memphis looks like
Milwaukee's
Right.
you know.
And I've never got it. When you filthy rich like that, bro, you getting 200 million, 150, bro, you live anywhere. Yeah, I could still live in Lakewood, right? If I got enough money, I'll just build a tower. Build me a tower right in the middle of Lakewood. Yeah, I'm here. I got it.
Can you build a studio in said tower so we can do the show from there?
Oh, yeah. That's another thing. Why all y'all cats supposed to be going to other studios? Just put it in your basement. You guys are tripping.
honestly.
All right, Maurice is on the line, so that means it's time to do our fence riders. But first, we got to do our Browns read.
A hot
right?
read from great director filling in here.
Yes,
by the way.
Anthony filling in
Shout
today
him
for
out.
McNuggets.
Anthony, you're killing it.
So today's Browns Talk is sponsored by
the
Community
confidence.
College. Tri-C supports their students financially, professionally, and personally, and opens up the door to endless possibilities. Tri-C, where futures start now. Classes begin January 7th, 2023. It's pronounced Cuyahoga McNuggets.
Well, I think it's Cuyahoga, but you say Cuyahoga.
I think it's a Haga. I say Haga.
Yeah,
I'm from Parma, so I guess that's just a me thing.
Mike.
Let's bring in Maurice.
Cuyahoga.
Oh, Cuyahoga all the way.
Yeah, G.
Cuyahoga.
Yeah, I'm a Cuyahoga too. Okay, hey Maurice. Merry Christmas, my friend. How are you? Oh, we
Same
got
to you.
chill.
Merry Christmas.
We got chill and laid back Maurice
Yeah.
today. I like that look, bro.
Yeah.
Maurice, it look like you got a lot of rooms in your house. It just look, you got multiple rooms. Like you keep setting up different places. I got like 2 rooms. Like my wife can find me at all times.
The family room, or he does a lot of hits from the
Or the
toilet.
bedroom. Where you at? You in there? Yes, I'm still in here, bro.
No, the baby's go. So usually I go in the basement because we got a new baby, and usually the baby's crying, and so they would be disruptive to the audio. So I usually go in the basement where I can trap myself.
Hide out.
All right, Maurice, good to see you. You were drinking the Kool-Aid last week, and it seemed to work out for you. The
Yes.
Browns now under Deshaun Watson are 2-1. The easy schedule Deshaun Watson tour continues as they host the 5-9 New Orleans Saints, who are in line to either host a playoff game or have a top 10 pick in the NFL draft.
That's amazing.
That's the nuttiness that is the NFC South. But we have pretty mumuch established the fact that their path to the playoff is a lot more clear, even though they're still a long shot, than it is for the Browns, because at 5-9 they're just a game behind the division leader, Tampa Bay. You ready to do this no fence rider thing?
Yeah, I got my answers loaded. I got the questions last night.
Nice, very good. So
Boom.
nothing off the tip of your tongue. You've thought about all of this. What's the first one, Anthony?
So the first one today, and we'll have Maurice answer first, is will Nick Chubb have more rushing yards than Alvin Kamara has total yards?
My answer is yes. I'm still drinking the Kool-Aid. I think that the Browns, I think the Browns are going to pick up momentum, and I'm hopeful that we enter the playoffs and that everybody's playing well going there. So I'm going to say yes.
Wow. Full of the
Okay.
Christmas spirit.
That is really
He is.
hopeful.
Yeah.
What did the group say? Let's see what the whole gang said.
Polk didn't send in his answers, so Polk, make sure you answer.
Sorry about that. I'm a no.
Yeah, you're a no.
Yeah.
So G, you're a yes too. Why?
Because I think part of Alvin Kamara's game is catching the football. It's going to be windy. It's going to be terrible conditions. I think that neutralizes both squads. So then it comes down to the running attack. Now, Alvin Kamara could just run for 3,000 yards in the middle. But I think, and I don't know, I might be dumb for sounding this and having faith. I think Joe Woods would, at least this game, figure out that the weather is crazy and have 96 dudes in the box.
Can I hit my no real quick?
Sure.
Okay. No. Nick Chubb was on the injury report this week. It's going to be 0 degrees.
Yeah.
The season is over. You got to see what you had out of your young guys. Why would you risk injury in conditions like this on your Pro Bowler for no reason? Are we going to learn how good Deshaun Watson is at handing the ball off? Just don't play him or play him very limited And if they do that, then he's not going to get that many yards, not because Nick Chubb isn't good or anything. That's
right.
how I feel.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And I'm telling you guys, I said this yesterday, and I got all kinds of pushback. But now on the injury report for the Browns, Chubb, Njoku, and
Garrett, right? No?
And
I thought he took a day off.
Amari
was
Cooper.
sick. Miles was
Amari Cooper.
And Cooper's hurting. Like he
He
said
is.
again
And
yesterday.
So my point yesterday was, despite the fact that I got pushback from Leroy saying, we're gladiators and we play. I get that. I do. But I also understand that everything that this sport does now is analytically driven. And if somebody in Berea has a pro column, like the benefits to playing and the risks to playing, to me, the risks are going to be far greater than the benefits. Here's why. We've already had a chance to see Watson and Chubb and Watson and Cooper. What are we going to learn over the next 3 meaningless games? They're still going to have a 24-week break in between throwing and catching and playing football together. So what difference does it really make? I say if these guys are dinged in any way, shape, or form, err on the side of caution and let's get this damn thing together for next
Let's ask the authority. Maurice, do you agree with that or no?
No, he don't agree with that.
Y'all both made good points, but I tend to think about it a little bit different. It's like you want them playing well. I can get that you would want to sit him because you're thinking about next year, but you would still want a guy who goes out there and practice, trains all off season, and you're still going to want to get him his touches. That's just what I'm saying. And I think that he'll perform very well. So that's just my opinion.
Let me translate. Gladiator, we play.
And I'll translate it even better because when asked about it, Kevin Stefanski said, yeah, I hope he's playing. I really do wish he's playing. And if there's one person...
Coaches never lie.
If there's... Yeah, you're right. If there's one person who this doesn't fit, it's Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb does stuff that nobody else does. Who goes and does max out videos all across the country with high schoolers in a gym with 90,000 pounds on his back? You think he about to be like, yeah, I'm just going to sit this out?
I wish he'd cut back on that, frankly, a little bit, because I don't need him doing that. I'm like, you're strong. We see you. You don't need to lift a truck every day in front of high school kids. Like, yeah.
Jay,
so
what's going on over in Berea? Is there a chance that they might err on the side of caution or no?
No, I think they're going to play. Now, they may be somewhat limited in the snaps that they give them, but 3 weeks, excuse me, is a long time to shut it down. If it's the last game of the season, I agree with you. I think we see a heavy dose of Jerome Ford and they shut down Nick. But there's still a lot of football left to play.
Yeah.
There's still 3 weeks to go. I don't know. I don't think Nick is seriously hurt. I don't think it's anything of significance.
You don't feel like them being on the list is just a precursor to us waking up Saturday, finding out they're inactive?
Well, let's find out today. Let's see the injury report today. Let's see if they participate in practice today.
What time does that come out?
A couple hours.
Okay.
I'm not calling for a complete shutdown, by the way, on these guys. I'm just saying limit their reps
Pull
to
back.
befitting of the game
Haven't they
and
been doing
the
that with
importance
Chubb
of the
all year?
moment.
You sound
That's all I'm trying to
You
say.
sound like a politician during COVID.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say a full
No,
shutdown.
you can keep your deli open. You can keep your deli open.
right,
Just don't let anyone eat there.
The last practice before the game is usually it's the Friday practice, is a pretty good indicator of who's going to play and who's not.
But this week it's today.
That's why I'm saying. So let's
Yeah.
wait and see today who practices, if they're full participants. If they're held out of practice today, that's a pretty good indicator they're not going.
Okay, so we should know shortly. All right, what's number 2?
Number 2, will the Browns pick off Andy Dalton twice? This one was one of our few unanimous answers this week.
We already know what it is.
Yeah.
What you got?
Well, I was gonna say I'm all over Kool-Aid, man. We got to get it going. I'm saying yes.
He's willing.
So are we still
Man on
unanimous?
an
Because
island.
I know I was
Maybe.
a no.
They,
Yeah,
Maybe.
I know
Steve,
everybody
go ahead and
knows.
take it.
Man,
I knew everybody
hey,
knows.
bro, it looked like a whole
Hey, no,
angry
hey.
mob of people at the bottom. Like,
No, hey, hold on. When he said it was unanimous, I had to say yes. I already knew everybody was supposed to say no.
that
You're a contrarian.
See?
You're a contrarian.
The Kyrian.
He knew we were all in the know.
Man, you know what? And here's what I've learned from this answer. You lose the title of Mr. Kool-Aid. It is official,
Yeah,
Maurice
yeah.
Clarett.
Maurice-
You are
Oh,
stirring
look.
the Kool-Aid now.
Hey, look, this dude,
Positivity.
Yep.
he is
Look at
like
that.
when you know what, you have some sort of soft spot for the Browns. Because when you talk about any other team or topic, you be like, well, I ain't got no allegiance to this cat. So you just be kicking facts. Now, man, you be trolling, dude. But for the Browns, you be like, oh, will Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Watson throw for 1,000 yards in the same game? I gotta go, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? He's reminding us of that skit that SNL used to do on the Bears. So if Dick got into a fight with Superman, Batman, and Aquaman, who wins? It's Dicka.
Dumb Bears.
Dumb
Look,
Bears.
I told you. Look, so obviously I'm from Youngstown, so you grew up with Bernie, Webster Slaughter, Leroy, Kevin Mack, all those guys. So until they pack me up and put me in a grave, and I don't care how many games they lose, it's going to be the Browns.
Man, I love the loyalty. I really
How
do.
did the Browns do this to us?
You
How?
know what?
How does this happen?
It is like we've been mass hypnotized.
Like, it's crazy.
And we make the Kool-Aid reference, but really is kind of Jim Jones. Like, Jim Jones got 900 people to drink purple Kool-Aid, telling them that if you do, you get eternal salvation. Somewhere, I don't know if it was Paul Brown or Art Modell, somewhere, somebody put that spell on us because we would drink it.
And because all of us are, like, when the fandom that oozes out of us, like, if the Browns won the Super Bowl, I'm not going to lie, I would cry.
I would cry, too.
I know Polk would cry.
I'd take a week off work.
Like, I'd be, bro.
I'd be on deadline. I ain't crying. I got too much work to do.
You try to get to this bag.
You'll cry after you file your story.
Well, let's keep plowing through these there. Let's try.
Yeah, so
let's get to
number 3 is, will Deshaun Watson attempt at least 20 passes in this game? We saw Betsy yesterday with that wind. I'm saying no for this one.
If Greg Roman takes over as offensive coordinator, we will.
What do you say, Maurice?
I'm going to. Yeah, the only reason I'm saying yes is because you have to. It's for continuity purposes. Like, you don't, and I know that he has a 5-year contract. He's going to get a lot more passes than this year. But you still want to see him perform up under game time and just get his rhythm back and get his feet up under him and get his reps. So I'm going to say yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Anybody else say yes?
How many did he throw last week?
It was 28, 18 for 28
I'll go yes.
Let's see what the group said.
for 180, for 168.
Okay, everybody did.
I'm surprised I did. What the hell am I thinking?
Oh.
I don't
Jay,
even
would you like
remember
to
my
change your
answers.
answer?
Yeah.
Well, it's Kevin Stefanski.
20's not a very high.
It's not- I mean, he threw the ball 40 times
gettable.
with Brissett.
Kevin
Yeah.
Stefanski?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
That's
You're right.
five. I mean, it's 5 a quarter. That's not a very high
Yeah,
number.
yeah. And that screen passes count too.
Right.
I mean, but Betsy was on the show with us yesterday. She
50.
said there are going to be 50 to 60
Yeah, I
mile an
know.
hour wind
Yeah.
gusts. And the interesting thing was, Bull and I touched on this, we could have a bigger than 65-yard field goal because it's going to be going west to east
Right into the dog pound.
the
right
entire
in the face
game
of the
into the
pound.
dog pound. He could try a 75
Hey,
yarder.
if he hits that bull, it's gonna go
Oh.
crazy.
Let's focus on extra
He's
points.
gonna go
Bull
nuts
hate.
if he hit that.
I know, he
He'll be devastated.
I think between shovel passes, screen, they're not
Yeah.
going to throw it 30 yards down the
No.
field.
Yeah.
You're not trying to
well,
drive it down
he
the
hasn't
field.
done that anyhow.
Yeah.
It's been a short
But with
passing
the
game.
dinks and dunks, I think I said on Monday's show, his average depth of target in the first half was 3.5 yards.
Yeah.
You could do that in 50-degree winds.
I can
Like,
reach that far, I think. I'm pretty sure. I think I.
All right, what's next?
So, speaking of extra points, will either team attempt a field goal of at least 45 yards this week?
Of course they will.
After I heard, Jay, what you said, that what the wins will be, of course, I'm pretty sure there'll be somebody knowing that going into it. And then pregame, I'm pretty sure they'll probably be kicking along with the wind to see, just what level of accuracy they have with the conditions. So I'll say yes.
What the group say?
I'd just like to say, G said no, even though he just said, of course they will.
Captain Knee Jerk.
Yeah.
Can't remember either. We got
Hey, my moments be like eternities to other people.
you are the Duke of Nietzsche.
like that was years ago, bro. I'm in a different portal, fifth dimension.
I think this brings up an interesting question. Phil Dawson is not kicking in the NFL right now. Why is Phil Dawson not here teaching Cade York how to kick? He should be down there with blades of
had that
grass.
conversation.
He should be down there with blades of grass, just being like throwing him up in the air at the 50-yard line, being like, you got to go a little left right there. Like, he should be teaching him all this stuff.
Well, Phil had the Dawson flag installed at the
Yes.
stadium in
Yeah.
the one corner toward the dog
I
pound.
want
end.
Phil as a game day consultant on the sidelines for all 8 home games at least.
I just wonder
Scowling
if he's
at
just not
everyone.
interested. I just wonder if he's just not interested. He's happy in Texas, and He's just not interested.
You
in
can
the
be
job.
happy in Texas, but make $1 million a year for
I
8
agree.
days and
I
come
agree.
in.
Yeah.
You keep bringing up the point, whether we like it or not. It is a big facet of the game, and a lot of games are decided by 3 points or less.
Yep.
And there are a lot of missed field goals that can change the outcomes of these things. If you can do one little thing, like bring in a guru to stand on the sidelines and just be his personal kicking coach.
No salary cap on coaches. Hey, Jimmy,
Bring
why don't
him
you
in.
back up that Brinks truck? Actually make like a worthwhile payment on something, and bring in Phil Dawson. Stop, take some of that JD Vance money.
Nobody knows the stadium better than Phil. Nobody knows
Yeah,
the wins
I know.
better. And I thought Betsy had a great point yesterday when she talked about, listen, if you're in the dog pound, you're going to get punished because the wind's coming through that southwest gate.
Yep.
It's going to make kicking into that end, the closed end, almost impossible. So no one's trying a 45-yard field goal at that end. And I just think it swirls too much at the other end to try. You may have a massive gust at your back, but the way, and you can't even, that's why I was starting to say Phil had that flag installed. You can't even really depend on the little tassels that they have at the top
No,
of the
they're
uprights.
inaccurate.
Yeah. So you really need to look at that flag, and I don't know that Cade is ready to really know that flag and how to adjust and everything, and certainly New Orleans kicker's not, so I say no.
I wonder if we could get Phil on the show and ask Phil, what would your interest be in doing something like that? I would love. Do you have his digits?
I
Could you
do.
reach
I
out
had
to
a
him?
long conversation with him a couple years ago.
I wonder if he would come on the show and just have a chat with us.
We
about
could,
this.
he doesn't like doing a lot of media.
doesn't?
But the way that I phrased it to him, I said, "What's wrong with kickers today?" And he's like, "I'm going to talk about that because you're wrong."
Yeah.
And he totally flipped my mindset. In an hour conversation, he totally flipped the way that I look at kicking in the NFL. It was a fascinating conversation.
Well, I think because
I would love to have
Cade
him
has
on.
been such a kind of a, not polarizing guy, but he's had an up and down rookie season, and they drafted him so highly. I think at some point in the offseason, it'd be great to see if Phil will come on with us and just talk kicking and the mentality of kicking.
Yeah.
I need to ask him a question. You know how the trajectory of football has to be lower when you kick it from deep?
Yeah.
I was just sitting there thinking, like, could they take, Harbaugh does this on 2-point conversions. Could they do like a muddle huddle and take half the line and split them out to the left, half of the line, split them to the right, and only have 3 dudes on the line of scrimmage? And then that way, once he kicks it, it's not as many people to block it.
So it's basically like a ready. You think that the defense then would have to honor all that and split out? I don't know. It's weird how they do punts now. Maurice, I don't know if you ever played on punt team, but it's funny how the formations for punting the football have changed so radically in the last decade. Now, when you look at it, it's like it's not the first line and last line of defense and the punter. They surround him with 3 guys, and they're the bodyguards to make sure no one gets through at the last second.
Yeah.
Did you ever play on punt protection or during your time?
Yeah, I played on punt protection and punt rush. But punt protection, I played the wing where, you do a few drop kicks and you set and you got to catch the. It's either like a smaller DB or a wide receiver who's usually trying to rush, and I was also the A-gap rusher. But you're 100% correct where they formed like a the offensive linemen are like they're angled more, and then they have a like the pocket, 2 on one side, 1 on the other,
right,
and then they kind of come in once the ball is snapped. So that was after I was done playing. I didn't see that when I played.
Right.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing.
That's real. That's new.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, can you be innovative? If they innovative on punt, be innovative on field goal team too.
Yeah, maybe. It's an interesting thought. All right, Ant.
All right, question number 5. Will Taysom Hill be involved in a scoring play of any kind? That includes passing, rushing, and receiving.
Maurice?
Hey, look, I don't know why I looked at G. Bush's picture with the thumbs down, and so taking that as like my sign from God to say no.
This dude found a way.
I love his logic.
He found a way to be a cheerleader for the Browns. Yeah. He found a way to get that off.
Yeah. No. So what did we say?
Sign from
What was the group?
Let's take the group picture here, Steve.
Somebody explain this Taysom Hill experiment to me and if it's working, as far as this weird experimental position that he's playing.
Yeah, I don't think it's
And
working.
they paid him a bag of money, too.
I know they did.
Is it working?
Not really.
Well, what's their record? They're 5-9. And
You're right.
so I think it all started with Sean Payton, who likes to fancy himself as the innovator offensively. I used to hate, and I mean hate with a capital H, watching him pull a Hall of Fame quarterback and one of the greatest ever to play that position off the field for a Tim Tebow wannabe. I just thought it was so disrespectful, and Drew handled it well.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, man.
Was it effective when he did it, though?
There were times that it was effective. I don't know what the analytics would say, but I just think overall it's gimmicky.
Yeah.
And I was never a fan of it.
It's absolutely gimmicky, and I think NFL teams are so obsessed with how they make other teams prepare and giving them other things. And if you have to spend 10 minutes of your practice going over when we bring Taysom Hill into the game and the goal line packages, that's 10 minutes less that you're spending over here. And I really think that's part of it, is just teams have to prepare for it, and that takes away preparation time for other areas. I don't necessarily like it either. It's 100% a gimmick, but it's obviously something that they believe in.
Did you ever have to deal with anything like this, Maurice? Did anybody ever try, or anything, like a hybrid player of this sort did you play with, and was it confusing?
You lost a lot of touchdowns to Lydell Ross your first game. I remember that. Is that the same thing? Jim made Maurice take him to the goal line against Texas Tech, and then he brings Lydell Ross and let Lydell get the score.
Yeah. No, but what you said was actually correct when you said that other teams will see you use a package of some sort, and you are 1,000% correct, and people will spend time away from, getting regular reps on what they regularly see and prepare for this other stuff, and some people may view that as a competitive advantage. So I didn't have that line of thinking when you said that, but I think that may be some reasoning or logic behind why people do what they do, or why Sean Payton probably did what he did.
Well, he wasn't running it right. If you want Taysom Hill to be successful in that play, you got to implement what I call the double direct snap. You got to have two quarterbacks in the backfield, and
you don't know which one's going to get it.
If you read option to him and you give it to him, have him take the ball, and then they can run a RPO off of that. So he can either throw the ball or run the ball, and he can keep it. Now, the reason Wildcat don't work no more is people forgot. Darren McFadden used to actually throw the ball. He used to throw the ball to people. Like, you can't just snap it to somebody and they'd be like, oh, you're confused. They're not. You still have to have routes and different things. So if you had two quarterbacks in the backfield and Taysom Hill can throw, he can have an option to throw on a package of plays. That would really
cost him. He's not a very good thrower of the football.
Yeah, but I mean, also, I agree with you. Taking Drew Brees off the field is malpractice for Taysom. Yeah. Right now, you're dealing with Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston. It's not the same.
You want to pull one of those schlubs off, that's fine.
You can take them off to bring him
But when I would see Drew Brees running to the sideline and Taysom Hill taking the handles of the offense, it used to just infuriate
It's a big drop-off.
Yeah.
Huge drop-off. Okay, we have one more, right?
All right, last question for this week. Will the Browns and Saints combined pass for more than 300 yards?
Oh, I would say yes. Have to.
Let's see what the group says.
Even with the wind. I said yes,
one
too.
no.
I don't even know who I am anymore.
G. Bush, what are you talking about? Hey, G. Bush, explain yourself, man.
Yeah.
No. Man, y'all, they're going to get – y'all forget. Remember them games against the Raiders a couple years ago? Raiders, a couple games against Philadelphia where the wind was crazy and they couldn't even throw the rock. They're not going to be throwing the ball like this. If you get 150 yards, and Andy Dalton don't even really have that strong of an arm.
But you could have a 6-yard throw to Kamara and he takes it 80.
That's what I'm counting.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. You could have the same with Chubb.
Right. That's what we talked about earlier.
So the ball's not going to travel long distances through the air.
Right.
But if you get somebody guessing wrong on a frozen field, long runs happen.
You can catch guys in the flat, screen passes, shovel passes, that sort of thing. 300's not a high bar, even in this weather.
I got Andy Dalton at 125. And I got Deshaun Watson up to 300.
Now, I will say, like the last time Deshaun played weather like this here, he was horrible.
Oh, terrible.
He was awful. To the point where he said that impacted his decision why he initially crossed Cleveland off his list first was because the weather was so bad. They had a delay. I mean, I have to go back and pull up his numbers. This year he led the league in passing. He was awful.
It was like 100 yards.
And the weather Saturday is going to be even worse than it was that day he was here. So that is something to factor.
Hey, before we let you go, Maurice, give us a score and a winner, and then I want you to close it out by saying you have probably everything you would like to have. But one thing you don't have that you would like to see under your tree for Christmas, but give us the score first.
Oh, so the score, let's go 28-7. All right.
Oh, high
But
scoring.
one thing I would like to see under my tree, it probably won't fit. I want a cold tub. I'm getting a little bit older, and I need to be a cold tub. So I see these things on Instagram. They got these little cold plunge tubs, and I got to figure out how to get myself a cold plunge tub because I'm getting older, and I run a lot, or I do a lot of the stair climber, and my legs, they just don't recover the same way.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Tim Tebow got that cryogenic thing. You see him and his girl talk about regeneration. I'm not giving myself no damn IV. What the hell is this?
Hey, I don't
Tim
have-
Tebow got a
Hey.
shirt.
Yeah, Tim Tebow. No, Tim Tebow got Tim Tebow money. I got Maurice Clarett money.
That's
Maurice, you're the best, man. Merry Christmas to you and your beautiful family. I
Christmas
hope
to
you
you all.
enjoy it, and we'll talk next week,
All right.
okay?
All right,
See you,
man.
buddy.
See you, bud.
All right.
Tim
Hey.
Tebow is rich, though.
I did.
Yeah, but that Maurice Clarett money's nothing to shake a stick at.
Yeah,
Come on.
nah, not really.
Have you gotten a cryogenic? Have you guys ever done those?
I've never done it.
I did it in Sacramento.
Really?
Yeah.
You were hungover.
Me and Mary Schmidt-Boyer when she was at the Plain Dealer, and Allie Clifton when she was the sideline reporter for the Cavs. We went to like one of the first ones in Sacramento. I walked in there. The three of us walked in there. They were playing Ice Ice Baby while we were in there.
That's great.
And it's like I blacked out. I couldn't see color. It was the coldest I've ever been in
You
my
did,
life.
really?
Yeah.
How long
I
did
mean,
you
I'm
stay
joking.
in?
Was it you?
Minute and a half, I think, or minute, or I don't remember now. I just remember that was right around the time when Manny Harris, like there's signs everywhere, don't wear anything wet into here.
Yeah,
and Manny Harris wore wet socks into one.
You'll stick.
And had like frostbite. Like
Yeah.
ended his career. Not that he would have had a great career anyway.
Wow.
Ended his career over that.
Wow.
It's no joke.
You got to pay
Yeah.
attention
Well, I
to those
shouldn't say it
signs.
ended his career. He did come back, but he was laid up for a long time
Yeah.
with that.
That's like, don't lick the frozen pole
Pole,
outside.
yeah.
I mean,
Got to
come
learn the
on.
hard way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like we all did.
Simple
got?
science.
What you got, Anthony?
Yeah, guys. So before we get into Jarvis Landry's return to Cleveland, it's Christmas this weekend too.
That's true.
It's gonna be really cold, and you know what's good in the cold? Some Christmas bourbon from Cleveland Whiskey.
Ooh,
It's
a nice
available now.
crisp.
Visit your local liquor store to take some home today. Whiskey without limits. Please drink responsibly.
I got it in here.
There it is. See, Jason's supporting the sponsors.
Under what
kidding.
circumstances would you be drinking by yourself?
I guess weeknights. Is that what you're
Most
at?
Friday nights.
No,
Saturday nights,
like,
Sunday
so say for
morning.
Yes.
instance, this is always fascinating to me. Like, what sometimes there'll be dudes and they just be randomly at their house just drinking, like, some,
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink this whiskey. What would the occasion be where it just sparks you, like, boom?
Right.
Let me just go in here and take 3 shots.
Yeah.
And if you do drink, are you-
Kids will make you do that.
As Mike said, weeknights.
Yeah. Celebrating life. You know? Got to cherish every sunset. That's what I say.
man,
And it's better with a
With
shot
a little
of Cleveland
shot
whiskey.
of Cleveland whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, are we going right to Aditi? Is she on?
Not quite
she
yet.
just comes
Just
up
go
at 10
ahead
after?
with Landry right now.
Yeah, let's talk about Jarvis Landry. I thought it was interesting some of the comments that Nick Chubb and David Njoku had to say yesterday about Jarvis Landry. They miss him. Clearly, they miss him. I think Chubb's quote was, "It would be amazing if he were still here." I thought at the time when they let him get away, and I know that bringing him back at what he was scheduled to make was not a good play.
Right.
But sometimes there's a deal that teams make that you're not paying for the production, you're paying for what he brings to the club. And I just thought that what Jarvis Landry, the impact that he had on this team and what he meant to this team, and especially what he ended up going to New Orleans for.
What
I
did he
thought
go for? Was it
$8 million?
I think it was like
I think he was asking for 16.
Okay.
I think maybe the Browns had offered 10, and I think he ended up going to the Saints for 8. Those numbers could be off. Those are just off the top of my head. But what he ended up getting, I thought he would have been a bargain to get him here. Jason, I'll ask you this because you've been around this club. They all say he's the reason the culture changed here. He was the one that guided Nick Chubb through how you handle coming off an 0-16 season.
Yeah.
They spoke of him like he was walking on water.
I have immense respect for Jarvis in the way that he competed last year all the way to the end.
Even though he was hurt.
Even though he was hurt all the way through the Cincinnati game. The Baker situation was damaging.
Yep.
And I didn't think there was any chance he was coming back. And then after the Deshaun move, I did think that there was a window there where they could bring him back. I thought maybe there was a possibility. And it just felt to me like Jarvis was ready to move on. And I think the team would have brought him back. I think Jarvis
Well, at one point, though, didn't he say he would like to come back and play in Cleveland?
Yeah, but
probably at the $16 million price tag.
Yeah, I don't know that because we were not allowed in the locker room last year, so I haven't had a conversation with Jarvis in a really long time about any of this. So I don't know. But the team was open to bringing him back at the right number, obviously.
Yeah.
They were open to him coming back.
I just
after
wonder
the
how
Baker
things
move
would
was
be
made.
different this year. You really
he's
do.
not the same player. He hasn't had the same year.
So he's only played 9 games, so he's missed a lot to injury. But his 25 catches and 272 yards, he has more production than Bell and Schwartz combined.
Yeah. Oh, there would have been a place for him, but I'm just saying he's not the Jarvis that you probably expect.
When we got.
Yeah.
When he got here.
His best game was, I think, the first game. He had a great first game back in New Orleans. And then after that, it's just sort of been downhill ever since all year long.
Well, he was.
But he was special. He was special in the locker room.
To the locker room,
100%
for sure.
true. He was one of the leaders for sure.
And the fans really liked him too. He was like a very so it'll be interesting. I mean, he's not like I don't know who's even going to be at this game on Saturday necessarily. Like how many fans are going to be there, or if they will
there'll
be
at least 4 because Jason's taking his son and I'm taking mine. So.
Yeah.
Or if they will be the real fans, or if these are people like this is a chance for people who just might want to check out a product, or I don't know. I mean, like their tickets going for $4 right now, guys.
I know
online.
they are.
So not great.
So they can be had cheap.
Yep.
Aditi, welcome to the program. When you look at what a player like Jarvis means to a team, do you think that it was a mistake for the Browns to not bring him back, even if it wasn't for his production, just for his rub-off factor, particularly after hearing Chubb and Njoku just sing his praises about what he meant to that locker room?
I don't need to hear them say it. I lived it. I was there. When Hugh Jackson wasn't making guys work and Jarvis Landry was saying, no, working is the only way that you get anywhere. And Jason, I love you, but when you say that he's not the same player, who cares? The way that you construct a team is not the 53 most talented guys at each position.
Yes,
it's a chemistry experience. And you sometimes need a little dash of this and a little pinch of that to really get the most out of any locker room. And what we heard Nick Chubb say, what we heard these guys talk about is how Jarvis Landry infused a level of professionalism. And you know what? I get the opportunity to talk to Dennis Allen, to talk to Pete Carmichael, to talk to the Saints about that. And even though Jarvis has been hurt and hasn't been able to contribute as much on the field as perhaps they had hoped to get out of him in the future, they were unequivocal in talking about how he's the one that kind of leads the quarterbacks and the receivers, and he's the one that sets the tone, despite the fact that he is somewhat diminished because of the injury. And then, gosh, you talk about reliability. I mean, this is a guy that put his body on the line every day, every play, every snap. That's something that you just can't say that to someone. You have to show it to someone. You have to play next to somebody who does that. And yeah, I mean, personally, you can hear the pain, the passion, the hurt in my voice because I felt that this was such a key important piece of what the Browns were able to do over the last few years. And let's be fair, both Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski acknowledge that. And even though there had to be sort of this separation, Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry did not mince words in talking about how important Jarvis Landry was to their growth as an organization and to, as we keep saying, the setting of a culture of that organization. I'll tell you this, I always thought that I had a great relationship with Jarvis, even when things were very tough with Odell Beckham and whether he was the right fit for this particular offense. I've asked to talk to Jarvis this week. You know, if I call him myself, I know he's not going to pick up because he's just not like that. So I formally asked. I don't know if he's going to talk to me. I'm sure I'll talk to him on the field Saturday morning. I look forward to it. But I really, really, really hope I get the opportunity to talk to him during the week just to, he's got some remove now. He's got a little bit of space to step back and to hear his teammates, his former teammates, say what they say. That has to mean something to him. I hope that means something to him.
Aditi, do you think he wanted to move on? Do you think he was ready to move on? Because I know the organization was open to bringing him back. So where did it fall apart?
I think that he would have come back. I do think that he would have come back. I do. And I think that there was probably some excitement about the opportunity to play with Deshaun Watson as well. I do. You never know, though, right? Because you hear often from both sides, oh, we tried to make it work and he didn't want to, or we tried to make it work and they didn't want to. Right. I don't know. But in my heart of hearts, I do think that there was some middle ground to be met.
What did he sign in New Orleans? Was it 1 or 2 years?
We've seen this across the league a gazillion times. I mean, I remember a gazillion years ago when James Harrison ultimately signed for less with the Cincinnati Bengals than the Pittsburgh Steelers would have given him, but it was about ego. And it was, how dare you, after this many years and how much I've meant to this club, you offer me X amount of money. And then he went for less money. So it's not even just about the money sometimes. Sometimes it's about the respect factor, the way that you feel you're being spoken to. And, I mean, ego's always involved. When you're as passionate as a player like Jarvis Landry is, as a player like James Harrison is, as a person like I am, then of course ego and the way that you feel you're being treated and how you're appreciated and how you're being valued, that of course comes into play.
Well, he signed for 1 year, $6 million. Who knows? Maybe he comes back.
Maybe.
I wouldn't mind that.
I wouldn't mind that at all. And
I
think if the Browns had a mulligan to do this over.
It's any sort of calling card. Mike, when you say that tickets are available for $4, all I have to say is, people better be in the stands, because if I am there on the field suffering through all of that, okay, and as much as we've talked about how I need to get in better shape, there's not a lot of fat on this body, and I'm going to be out there on that field, and I don't get to run around, so somebody come out there and feel my
Jay
pain,
and I will be
please.
there. Jay and I are taking our kids. Well, I'm sitting in the club seats, though, because we're going inside when it gets cold.
Now, Didi,
You guys
you
are
work.
so privileged, my goodness, so privileged.
You work on the sideline, so obviously you have to go to the game. But under what circumstances and what would the temperature have to be if you were going to a regular game, like as a family, as a civilian? Is there a temperature that you ain't going below? Like if it's 26, I'm not going to watch no game.
26. It's supposed to be like -9 wind chill with 50-mile-per-hour winds. 26 sounds positively balmy. I'd take that. I'm the wrong. You know what, Gia? I'll be honest with you. I'm the wrong person to ask because it's hard for me. I admire you, Jason. I admire you, Jay. It's like a busman's holiday. When you're used to being on the field and being in the thick of the action, it's really hard to just sit in the stands. And I haven't been able to properly really do it. I've tried with my son a couple times at college games. It's easier for me to watch on TV with my son because then at least I'm like so far removed, I can't be jumping over people to get on the field. But I'm a little bit afraid that at some point, I'll be in the stands and say, what? And all of a sudden be leapfrogging and working onto the field, and I'll be one of those people you see security tackling.
How do you see this game playing out? I mean, the Saints have a little bit clearer path to the playoffs. The Browns obviously are an extreme long shot. What do you think happens?
I like the urgency with which the Browns are playing right now. I do, quite frankly. I think that you're right. Despite that ugly, ugly, ugly record that the Saints have, you've got Andy Dalton, who's won the 4th most games of any quarterback in Cleveland. How crazy is that, right?
Wow, thanks for that little stat. What a little pick-me-up. Thank you, Aditi.
Yeah.
That is such...
Andy Dalton is 12-5. I just mean, as opposing quarterback. So Andy Dalton is 12-5 in Cleveland. He knows those wins, and I actually talked to him about that. The part of going to an away environment, and we know this all throughout the AFC North, is that these stadiums are tough. And they are all on water. All 4 AFC North stadiums are on water. There is weird wind involved in everything that's going on. It's not just about the cold. Andy's familiar with it. Andy knows where the pockets are that they swirl and where they come off the seats and where they don't. So I think that that's all good. And Andy Dalton, too, is having a great year, even though he's not getting as much help. But I'm curious about Nick Chubb's health. that obviously always, something to pay attention to. I think that I really like the way the Browns defense has played the last month. I like the sense of urgency that they're playing with. I like that they seem to be playing a little bit freer, a little bit faster. That may be because, as they've talked about, Joe Woods has kind of slimmed down the play menu and just said, you know what, we just need to do what we do really well, really, really, really well, and that's that. I like that. And I also think that, they know that they're not out of it. Meaning the Browns, they know that they're not out of it. The AFC North is really very much, and I said this morning, just get in the dance. It's about who's going to get hot. We saw the Chiefs almost lose to the Texans, who, by the way, have one win and are a team, just are lacking in a full team of talent. There are young, talented players, but that's not a full team by any means. And yet the Texans nearly and should have upended the Chiefs. We've seen the Bills look vulnerable. I don't think that anybody is just running away every single Sunday with the AFC. So it's this feeling of, okay, just get in. And now look, the Ravens, how long is Lamar Jackson out for? Is there potentially some way to back into the playoffs? And we know this. Wildcard teams have won the Super Bowl. So I think if the Browns are feeling good about themselves, if they're bringing themselves some urgency, if they feel that this insane weather day is a boon to them going against a dome team, which they absolutely better feel that way about it. If playing on Christmas Eve in front of Jason Lloyd and Jay Crawford's sons isn't incentive and motivation, come on.
Yeah,
and
if that isn't motivation, you're not alive.
Away from children in the blizzard conditions, potentially being blown away, then, come on. If I could suck it up, Buttercup, right?
There you go.
Yeah, it will be brutal.
I've been there for those, though. I know these games well, like being these home games. I had season tickets for a long time. Those tickets were passed down to me like a burden by my father when he
generational curse.
Yeah, he no longer wanted to deal with that, and then eventually.
You do realize, right, that it's way worse on the field than it is in the stands. First of all,
absolutely.
In the stands, you have people buffering you.
Yeah,
100%.
You've got walls of the section. On the field, it's just all. It's funny. Devin was like, I don't want to look down the sideline and see anyone looking like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And I'm like, hello, that's exactly what I will be looooking like. Thank you very much.
Can you sit on the bench? The players have been talking all week about how warm and cozy it is on the bench. Can you just slide up next to them and sit on their bench for a few minutes and defrost?
What's so funny is Jay Feely said that he used to just sit on the bench all the time. I was like, well, you probably blended in.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on bench, although I did tell Greg Newsome I might be doing that. I said, if you see like a random little person on the end of your bench, it's probably me.
How many layers are we doing, Aditi? How do you layer up for something like this?
I know. So I think there are long johns. There's an Under Armour turtleneck. There's another Under Armour warm thing. There's a coat. I can't get a heated vest. I tried to order a heated vest, and I can't get one in time. I went to 3 different sporting goods stores here in town, could not get one.
Thanks,
so
Biden.
I think I'm going to have mega warmers and, medical tape them to my body. Honestly, the things that I'm most concerned about are my fingers and my toes.
Yeah.
Because
that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
Do you know Sarah Walsh, Aditi?
I do know Sarah Walsh.
Okay,
of course, yes.
Sarah's awesome. Reach out to Sarah and see if there's any way she can she covers the Buccaneers. See if there's any way she can next day you a vest so you can have it by Saturday. Tell her
you know that Sarah Walsh bundles up when it's 55 degrees.
Listen,
right?
she's
55
cold.
degrees and freezing.
She's from Tampa, so whenever it's anything over colder than 60. She shivers, physically shakes. So ask Sarah for that awesome heated vest she has. She's not going to need it. You are. And tell her that I said, do the right thing, Sarah. Do the right thing.
We'll see. This is the trouble. There are things to order. It's just getting them here. The holiday makes it that difficult.
I know.
So I asked the phenomenal, amazing Brad Melland, who, of course, is the Browns' tremendous equipment manager, if there's any way he can pull me out an extra heater so I'm not fighting the punters and the kickers who are generally always hovering over there.
Soft punters.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. If anybody's got suggestions on what I could possibly butter Brad up with to convince him that I would like one of those, I'd appreciate it.
Now, because you're part of the broadcast, I know that we can't ask you what's going to happen, who you think's going to win. I get that. Just tell us what kind of a game we should expect, because I think in general we're thinking it's the lowest under that any of us can ever remember seeing. I think it's at 31.5 right now. I've never seen anything. I can't remember anything being below 34. So the experts in Vegas think that this is going to be maybe a 17-10. Is there any scenario that you can envision where they're just dead wrong and we end up getting a high-scoring game?
Yeah, if like the weather changes completely. I mean, I don't, you know how crazy the wind is and how unpredictable it is. I mean, something as simple as kicking field goals becomes a crazy adventure if it's nuts like that. And again, I said we were talking to Andy Dalton earlier about this, and he was saying if it would snow, it would be better than if there's any other sort of precipitation, because at least that makes the ball a little tackier. But it's not going to snow if it's -9 degrees. It'll be too cold for it to snow, so I think there's a little bit of fear of throwing the ball when the wind is so unpredictable. And this is the stadium where the wind is the most unpredictable in the entire National Football League. I think that oh gosh, why are you showing me this? This is one of, it's funny because my producer was telling me, he started telling me on Sunday, I think, last Sunday or last Saturday, he's like, so here's what I need you to do. Go stand outside for 4 hours every day.
Build up to it.
Get your tolerance up.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously. And I was like, I don't know if this is better to just rip off the Band-Aid, because there really is no preparation for any of that. But I think that I do think it will be low scoring. I think that I think both teams would like to play that way, quite frankly. I think both teams would like to play grinded out football. I can tell you that the sideline reporter would certainly like a moving clock, like a constant.
You want the game to be over by 3 o'clock.
Extensive replays. Let's just move that ball and move that clock, for sure.
Aditi, based on where we're at in the season, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, and just assuming Nick Chubb he was on the injury report this week, but assuming he's totally good to go, do you think that he will, based on the game situation and the weather and everything, and where our playoff chances are at, do you think he's going to get more touches in this game than he typically gets, or fewer touches?
I never know, but I hope more. I mean, I like more. I like the idea of more. It's funny. I do a radio show here in Pittsburgh, and Mel Blount, who of course is in the Hall of Fame, who is a cornerback unlike any cornerback has ever been built, was talking about Franco Harris. This was the day before, tragically, Franco Harris passed away. And part of that is because Franco Harris's number is being retired this weekend. This is, of course, the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. I know Browns fans hate that moment just as much as Raiders fans do. But one of the things that I'm bringing up here, the reason I'm bringing this up, is that Mel Blount said that old school football used to all be about the running back. You went the way the running back went. It was the running back who had 30 or 35 touches, and the quarterback maybe threw the ball 10 times a game. And when we were talking yesterday with Tyrann Mathieu about Nick Chubb, he said, man, he's just an old school dude.
Yeah.
And he said in the way that he runs, in the way that he behaves, I mean, the guy never trash talks on the field. Tyrann even brought that up. And so the way that Mel Blount is talking about Franco Harris carried those teams, that those teams were about the running back, not the quarterback, not the receiver, not anybody else. It was about the running back. That really is who Nick Chubb is. And it feels like this time of year, this day, these two teams, this weather, it calls for nothing but old school running back play. And who is that but Chubb? So, and we know Nick Chubb can handle it. If Kevin Stefanski wants to give him 30 to 35 touches, I'm sure he'll say, all right, hit me one more time. And again, like I said, the sideline reporter would love that.
Just don't run out of bounds.
Aditi, you mentioned
on every single one of those runs. Please, please, please.
when you're talking about the Immaculate Reception play, I put it in our group chat with these guys. I went back and watched it, obviously like everybody else did, but I really watched it, and it cracked me up. First of all, the running backs are in 3-point stances in the backfield. It's the last play of the game. Bradshaw held the ball for 5 or 6 seconds. They only made it to the 30. It's the last play of the game. I'm spitting everywhere. He threw it to the 30-yard line. How does this the game then?
The best play of all time.
It's hysterical. Today,
Right,
you got the ball at
voted
the
number
40. You're going to throw it to the end zone. They threw it to he was still 30 yards short, even if he catches the ball.
And we worship him.
How does this happen?
Crazy.
Different game.
Well, I wondered, though, did they have a timeout? Because when he scored, there was 5 seconds left. So, and obviously the Kareem, the Karam.
That's actually a good point.
So if they had
I
a
just
time,
assume it's the last play of the game, but you're right.
It
there was
wasn't.
time
I think
left.
they did have a timeout. They were hoping to get close enough to do the Hail Mary, which would have been from the 30 or whatever. Aditi, we can't let you go. You bring up Franco Harris. I'm assuming you met him at some point. I would love to hear you just talk a little bit about the man that was Franco Harris, aside from the football player. I had a chance to meet him. He was just overwhelmingly friendly. I'm wondering your experiences with Franco.
Same. I've never, I said this earlier in the week, and I'm still struggling to think of any man, forget his legendary stature, just any man of any stature who was as approachable, as genial, as fun-loving, as ready. I've never seen him say no to anyone for a photo or an autograph. We had him on our podcast, our Hall of Fame podcast this summer. We sat with him and Fred Biletnikoff for an hour.
Oh, wow.
And then later in the day, for 20 minutes, we're sitting and we're talking, and we were talking about my kids. And we were talking about Pittsburgh and transplanting and a little bit about Penn State. I mean, he was as approachable as could be, as humble as could be. The most emotion in his voice is talking about his Italian mother and food and the Ave Maria and things like that, more than it was about anything he ever did on a field. But on the field, he really, truly, and I'm saying this from having had so many conversations with men like Joe Green, men like Mel Blount. He is the one that really made the Steelers believe that they could win. He is really the one that changed fortunes. And that play was his rookie year. He was a tremendous football player beyond just that play. And it was Fred Biletnikoff who still harbors 50 years later all this anger about that play and believes it's not a catch and insists it's not a catch. But he spoke most eloquently on our podcast that was honoring the Immaculate Reception about how Franco was so much more than just that one play, and sometimes that gets overshadowed. But here's the one piece, and I'll tell you that this actually comes from my husband. I said this on the radio yesterday, and then shortly afterwards I heard Mike Tomlin say the same thing. He so willingly and openly carried the responsibility of being the face of that Steelers team. Mm-hmm. That was an organization, and I do need to go because Deshaun Watson's about to talk to us, but really quickly, Art Rooney, the chief, the owner of the Steelers, missed that entire play because he was in the elevator.
Yeah.
He was sure that his Steelers were once again going to lose, once again going to go down. He got himself into an elevator, missed the entire Immaculate Reception. That elevator panel, by the way, sits in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because it's such a crazy story that he missed the play. It was expected that the Steelers would lose. It was expected that the Steelers were a hapless bunch. Franco comes in, and yes, there were an absurd number of Hall of Famers on that team. There was Joe Green, there was Lynn Swann, there was Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, all of these guys.
Terry Bradshaw.
Chuck Noll, yes, all of these guys, Terry Bradshaw. But it was Franco that everybody says changed things. And it's Franco who, for the ensuing 50 years, was available whenever, wherever the Steelers needed him to carry the banner of that club, of that organization. Right. He willingly did it. He never seemed put out by any of it. And just on a personal, humble level, I mean, he had time for everybody. Everybody. Mel Blount said it this week. He said he's never met a more decent human than Franco Harris. Yeah. And Mel Blount has run 2 youth homes for kids that need help, and he's saying that Franco is the best guy he ever met.
Yeah,
it really, it saddens me. It's tragic.
It is tragic.
That finally he was getting his due, that he was going to become only the 3rd number ever retired in the city of Pittsburgh, that there are these massive celebrations planned for him. And this is what happened just a few days shy of that.
Tragic is the right word for sure. That play launched the Steelers dynasty. It was voted the number 1 play in the history of the NFL. And his absence is going to be felt certainly by Pittsburgh and the entire NFL community. Aditi, go tell Deshaun what's up.
Yeah.
G. Bush loves the Kool-Aid. You know, he's drinking it. He believes in him. And stay warm. We'll see you Saturday at the stadium.
All right, awesome. Make sure you say hi, guys. Bring me hand warmers, please.
Bye, Aditi.
Bye.
I'll be the one setting the fire in the stadium.
Y'all.
There might be multiple
In the
fires.
80s, they did that. They really just had little campfire.
Rip up that seat and start it on
You
fire.
guys are crazy for going to this game.
Yeah.
Y'all nuts.
I am rethinking it. My son is a diehard.
I do want to mention this. I was mistaken earlier. Some of you probably got upset with me for trivializing people who are going to this game, and I said the tickets were $4 on StubHub, and that is not true. Anthony showed them. They're actually, they are $2 now. They are $2. You can go to
You would
section
lie to us, Polk.
533.
Why would you
row
even
25.
do that? I mean, wouldn't you just
I
swallow
think
the
the
ticket
principle of the thing, probably, I guess, is
are you
just
going to get a Venmo payment for $2 and be like, oh,
yeah.
that's off my chest.
Now I can buy a beer.
I know.
That's a nice coffee at Dunkin' or something like that. Yeah.
I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, $2, everybody. Yeah, just the time it takes to list that on there and everything. It seems like that's
Right.
worth $5.
Well,
It's like cashing a check for 47 cents.
Well, I will say it gives a lot of different people who may not have that the economic means.
Sure.
to go.
Now it's an
To
opportunity
go and possibly die in the snow.
It could be a Christmas gift. It could be a Christmas
For
is the
someone
next
you're
day.
mad at.
But yeah,
On your tombstone, it will say he was a loyal fan to the end, literally. What was that, Anthony?
I was just going to say, I don't have any fun transitions like McNuggets.
That's fine.
So I want to remind everybody that BetJack has arrived to Cleveland. Ohio sports fans, sports betting is going live on January 1st.
It's happening.
First, download the BetJack app today so you'll be ready to go in all the action. BetJack, Ohio Sportsbook.
You're crushing it, Anthony.
McNuggets makes it look so easy, doesn't he?
He really does. It's
He'll be
the
sneaking it
feedback in my
in.
headphones
An-
drives me crazy.
Anthony, does Tri-C offer broadcasting classes?
I don't know, but BW did, and I didn't see them. I was a film major watching movies, writing papers. I don't know how I ended up
Hey,
here.
it's led you to this.
You're
Hey,
nailing it, man.
Well, here's the thing, man. Tell them you don't need it. You know why, Anthony? Because technically, you have 20,000, almost 20,000 followers and subscribers on YouTube.
That's true.
It's like 18, right? 18-some thousand.
Something like that. We're getting close to 19.
Help us continue to get that night. We need to do that 19 by December.
That's Bernie's number. That's the Bernie number.
Yes, that's what you can give us for a Christmas present, or you can sign up for our tiers.
Someone had a question to me on an email yesterday, and I need to ask you. I'm assuming I answered the question, and now I hope it was right. Someone said, I'm considering the coaches tier, but I'm not available from 1 to 1:15. Can I watch those on demand later? And I said, certainly yes.
Yeah.
That is the answer.
You absolutely can. I will have to check which tab it's under, but you should be able to go back and watch it. It's all on demand.
Great.
We will have Anthony physically burn out a DVD of it and bring it to your house.
Walk it to your home.
Wherever you are. Every afternoon. Wow. Just so you know. Blu-ray if you prefer.
We love our
Get a
subscribers.
jacket.
We love all of our viewers.
No
This
jackets,
jacket?
Anthony.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I see you rocking the 3 Studios.
Yeah, man.
Pullover.
That's
Yeah, man.
nice.
You know what I'm saying? I got
Representing
this.
the
It's a
upstairs.
sharp look.
Got my man. He dropped it off. He put it in the car.
Nice.
You know what I'm
Nice.
saying? Like it's
Make it look good.
Yeah, this in the license plates, make sure I'm not getting pulled over. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Jay Crawford gave this to me himself.
They're like, Jay Crawford.
No, say Betsy Clarett.
yeah. Jay and Betsy.
Or Mike Polk.
Jesse,
They co-signed it. They co-signed all of them. We're ready to go.
depends on the cop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
We have to talk about the Stefanski-Watson relationship because you have made the point on the show that, look, according to Deshaun, we take him at his word, he's here because of Kevin Stefanski, even though before the offer got to be the richest in the history of the game. He was a hard, quick, fast no.
Yeah.
But tell us what Stefanski's role in him being here is, how that happened, and some of the things that were said yesterday by Deshaun about this relationship.
So I've mentioned this multiple times, but let's walk through it quickly, and then I'll get to the other part that we haven't talked about as much. And when the news came down that Deshaun was coming to Cleveland, I spent about an hour and a half on the phone with, we'll say, people in his camp, like people on his side who know him, who have been with him for years. And the thing that they kept saying over and over again was that, yes, like he liked what Kevin had to say. He liked what Kevin showed him. When the Browns went into this meeting, it was at Rusty Harden's office. They had no idea what the setup was going to be. And originally it was going to be in this massive office, like, you know, with the big long conference table. And because some teams brought like 10 and 12 people in for their pitch. I think the Saints actually were one of them that brought like 10 or 12 people. The Browns showed up with Kevin, Jimmy D, and Andrew. And that was it.
Wow.
So it was really small and intimate. So they move into like Rusty's office. And Kevin brings an iPad with all these plays loaded up, sits down with Deshaun, and they just go over, listen, I love how you did this in Houston. Shoot to a clip of this is how we do it. This is what we've done. This is how I see us using you in this system. Deshaun loved it, ate it up. They talked for like 45 minutes, just the two of them in this iPad. No one else in the room could even see what they were doing. Just two guys chopping it up, talking X's and O's, talking football. Deshaun even said at one point, hey, where do you think I can get better? And Kevin said, I don't like your play actions. I think you're sloppy. I think you can be better with the ball and hiding it better and blah, 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 blah. And Deshaun cracked up and said, you sound just like my high school coach. He used to get on me all the time for that.
Wow.
So they did hit it off. Like, that's true.
And that means he really saw something in his game that Deshaun recognized was an actual issue and had brought up to him before.
Yeah.
So it was accurate. He was making calls.
And Kevin was
I
coaching
like that
him.
Deshaun asked that question.
Yes.
That, to me, is a characteristic of a player that wants to get better and knows he needs the coach that can get him there.
Yes. So, like, that is real. And that's what the point I've been making all year is you guys, I'm not saying anyone here, although it has been here, but just in general in Cleveland, the feeling of fire Kevin, fire Kevin, fire Kevin. I'm like, you guys, listen, you have to hold on to this. It's ugly and it's been messy at times, but you have to hold on and see what this looks like. Part of the reason Deshaun wanted to come here was Kevin. Now let's get to the contract. Yes, $230 million guaranteed, had a lot to do with it. Here's my understanding of how it went down. Deshaun calls the Browns and says, you're out. I think the Browns were the big dark horse in this to begin with. The Browns were the team everyone looked at like, really? It was like when LeBron took a meeting with the Clippers in 2010. Like, seriously? The Clippers? Okay, fine.
Yeah. Well, also, Deshaun said he wasn't nuts about playing someplace that was cold.
That's exactly right.
And that's why everybody's like, well, Cleveland's out.
Yeah.
Buffalo's out.
So the Browns, like, it was a hell of a pitch because they had a lot to overcome, and they overcame all of it. But Deshaun calls him, his agent tells him, you got to start eliminating teams. Like, we got to start working through this process. And he says, okay, Cleveland's out. It's cold. The only time I was there, weather was not good. I've never been there. I don't know anything about it. Cleveland's out. I want to stay in the South. My understanding after that, Andrew Berry stayed in touch with his agent, and they talked about other players. I don't remember the exact days. I think it was like a Thursday into a Friday, but that may be wrong.
It was the next day.
It was the next. So Deshaun calls him and says, you're out. I'm sorry. I had a great time, but I'm not coming here. Andrew stays in touch with his agent throughout that day. They talked about different players. Deshaun's agent is one of the biggest power agents in the NFL. He's got a ton of other clients. So they were talking to other clients. They had another conversation that evening. And then my understanding is the next morning, word throughout the building in Berea was, hey, we may not be out of this yet. We may still be in this. We may have a chance.
Was that because they ratcheted up the money offer?
It's my understanding. The money came later. That
Really?
They had the conversation in the morning, and Andrew sort of sent word throughout the building, we may not be out of this yet. We still may have a shot at this. And then they just came around, and then the money component of it came later. And
I wonder if there was a discussion where they said, we might be able to knock your socks off with an offer. Maybe the number 230 wasn't thrown out.
Right.
But if you're a good agent and you've got somebody that you've already eliminated on the line telling you, we think we can beat everybody else's financial offer, your ears are still going to be open.
Of course. And that I don't have the exact particular details of how it all played out from the time no to the time yes, but it's my understanding the contract numbers didn't come until much later in the process. And I was told they had another team call and say, why didn't you give us an opportunity to match? We would have matched that contract.
Wow.
Now, Did that happen? Every team you could call is going to deny, obviously, that they would be that team. So
You know what team it is, don't you?
no, I tried finding out, and no one ever told me. Now, are they just saying that to make it
Who
look
were the
good?
other really, really, really big suitors? New Orleans?
Atlanta, New Orleans, and Carolina.
Okay.
Were the 3 and then the 4. And really, when
Atlanta, to me, seems to me like
Atlanta went hard with the hometown pitch.
Yes,
Come
I would
home.
think that Atlanta would, I'm guessing here, but putting some things together that I know, I would think that Atlanta would have been the one that would said, we could have got that number.
Yeah, and they went with the big hometown heartstring pull of we know you, we know who you are, come home and play in front of your family. New Orleans was in it as well. Carolina, and I'm doing this in real time, I'm trying to remember. The Carolina thing broke down because they wouldn't go to a certain number or guarantee a certain number, and that's what allowed Cleveland to get back in.
Right.
So the idea that the Browns just kept adding zeros to the check until he said yes, I don't think that's accurate. Obviously, the contract played a part in this, yes. But it's my understanding that the numbers on the deal came much later.
I got a unique take on it. I think you're right. I think the main reason Deshaun Watson came here was Kevin Stefanski, but it was for a specifically different reason. So you look at it, of course, the money. I think any other organization would have gave him that same amount of dollars or close to it. But I think what really got him.
I don't.
I think he would have got relatively.
I don't think 31 other teams would have said you're worth being the highest paid player in the game ever.
I think there's 2. I think the Falcons would have did it.
I think there may have been a couple.
Yes,
I don't think
not
every other
the-
team.
But yeah, that's I guess a splice of word. But he would have had an offer from somebody else comparable to
In that ballpark.
Now I go to this analogy. We'd all been negotiating, jobs and where you go and move. And when you go move and when you're looking at a job offer, you got to look at, you got kids, you got schools, right? How good is your schools? What is the neighborhood like? What is the commute? What are the traffic? What are we doing? How far is it away from my house? How long do I have to be in my car? And then you get to the organizational part. You say, okay, I'm going to meet the owner. But it's not even the owner. The thing you want to know about is your direct boss.
Your contact person.
Who do I report to? And Kevin Stefanski is who he reports to. I think the selling point was, look, I could come here, and Kevin says, you know what? I didn't give Baker this little book right here. I don't even let Jacoby Brissett do this. When you get here, this gonna be a partnership. He got an opportunity to really dig back in and say, I get to come to the table on game day and I can pick all the plays I want. Mm-hmm. I get autonomy. When you sell a partnership, not you reporting to me, and the reason I say this is you go back a couple of days and somebody asked Amari Cooper, what was Deshaun Watson and Kevin Stefanski? Is he coming along? And he said, I don't think about it like in those terms. I think about it as if, they're helping each other. They're collaborating. And when he said that, I was like, oh, yeah. They sold him on, you can get this money. But the one thing he did not have was say-so and control in Houston over anything. They even asked him, he thought he was going to have an overflow or at least an opinion.
Best receiver out from under him.
Right.
And didn't he tell them who he wanted specifically
the GM.
As the GM?
He thought he was going to be part of the process,
Right.
and he wasn't.
And he wasn't.
And they
but
told
trading
him.
DeAndre Hopkins out from under him,
Right.
taking his best
Crazy.
receiver out from under him.
So when he went in and Kevin Stefanski said, look, I ain't looking to be your boss. I'm looking to get you better, and I'm looking to partner with you as all great quarterbacks. All great quarterbacks get to partner. Hey, as great as Andy Reid is, Patrick Mahomes is part of that play. He ain't running no plays Patrick Mahomes don't want to run.
Jay, that sounds perfectly
It's
plausible
absolutely.
to me.
And we've said on the show a million times, like Kevin's thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He's an egomaniac. Da 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 da. I don't know Kevin overly well, but I know him well enough to know that is totally false. And Aditi said that. Aditi knows him better than I do. And Aditi's come on and said he's the most egoless guy in the building, and he is. Like, if you're the quarterback and you don't like the play, it's out. Like, okay, gone. What do you want? Like, let's go. Let's come up with something else.
I think people make that
ego.
mistake, I think, because of what he chooses to present to people.
Well, because he's
you know?
Ivy League, and so there automatically comes assumptions with it that he's the stuffy Ivy League
I'll tell you
guy.
why.
And he doesn't talk too much. So
Right.
when you don't say your opinion, you make it up for him, right?
Well, you have to guess.
Yeah.
And the thing that this is what I base that opinion on. I think that even across the league, not just here and not just the Browns fans, but I have had people ask me that cover the league and watch the Browns on a regular basis, what's his aversion to using Chubb and Hunt together? We don't get it. And that is what I keep going back to. When they've been on the field together, there have been big plays. They've had success. That's what I always scratch my head on.
I agree with
don't
that.
understand.
I think that there were opportunities.
And to me, it
use
almost
them
seems
more.
like he's being stubborn because everybody in the world is saying, yeah, let's do that, but we don't see it. And I don't know why.
I don't know, and it has worked. Like we saw it early on, and it's
worked.
And I don't have a great answer for why they don't
Defenses
do that
have
more often.
to, you talk about a team having a
Taysom
Taysom Hill out there,
Yep.
so you have to spend 10 more minutes presenting what we might do if he's on the field. Well, imagine defensive coordinators' sleepless nights trying to figure out how you have these two dynamic backs on the playing field at the same time.
And I'll give Freddie credit for that because Freddie did use them together.
He
for
did.
As much as he got wrong, and he got
I know,
almost
but he
everything
got
wrong,
that right.
He did get that
Are
right.
we like overvaluing it in a way because we've just been saying this so long? I would like to see the actual numbers as far as how often they've been on the field together this
I
year.
wish someone would do
And-
that homework.
Yes, and how successful it's been, like
Yes.
what's happened in every play, because we might be being unfair. Maybe they're just quietly on the field and they're not
No,
part
it's
I'm
not-
looking
it's
for
not
it,
a
Mike.
ton.
I've been looking for it all season. I
Yeah.
would say it's happened a handful of plays.
Yeah, I would like to see
And
those
I can
numbers,
remember
though.
one of them going for a touchdown and another one going for a big first down on third down.
I could have our guys pull that.
That'd be
I'm
great.
You
sure
can?
they could pull
That'd
it.
be great.
Because
I
that'd
would
be
love to see the numbers behind it.
That would either be that would either shut us up a little bit, or it would be a really good weapon that we could use constantly to bring up. Because if you have numbers and proof of this,
They were on the field together 7 times, and the average play went for 11 yards.
right? Then that's
okay.
Yeah, I'd like to shove that in their face.
I do, but I mean, the more that you use stuff, the less those numbers are going to come down. You know?
Right.
Of course. And I do think that maybe I'll be proven wrong on this next year. I think everyone looks at Kareem as the Kareem of Kansas City. I don't think he's that guy anymore. If he was, I think he would be on the field.
But
more.
isn't that, and I know that position has a short shelf life. He's a young guy.
He
Still.
obviously doesn't have a lot of mileage because
He was off for
off
the year.
time in Kansas City. He hasn't been used as much here. I just think there's a reason why. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe next year he rushes for 1,600 yards.
If he
somewhere
goes back
else.
to Kansas City and becomes Kansas City Kareem again, it's not going to be a good look on Kevin Stefanski.
You're absolutely right. Totally right.
Some people just don't like the fact that I don't think this offense is what Kevin Stefanski ultimately wants to be. Like, there's one or two ways you can do it. You can say, okay, we can start to wean ourselves off this running game with multiple running backs and tight ends, or we could just rip the Band-Aid off, have growing pains, and say we're going to go with Deshaun Watson
wide.
and 3 wide receivers.
Right.
We'll have 3 receivers. So why would I be successful with running that? Because I know I can run that.
Sure.
But that's not a big part of what we want to do moving forward. So why run it?
What is his imprint on what is his DNA as an offensive coordinator?
Well, we don't have a lot of proof because he only called plays for 1 year in Minnesota.
Right.
And this is by far the most talented quarterback he's ever had to work with. Like Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Jacoby Brissett,
Right.
and now Deshaun. And
Kirk Cousins though wasn't, I know he's kind of
he's above average.
He's
but
above average
He's
quarterback.
not top 10 of the league. He's not top 15 of the league. I don't. Maybe 10 to
Top
15.
15?
Maybe in that range.
Yeah, I
10
would
to
put him
15.
10 to
He's having a
15.
good year this year. They're having a fine year. But he's not elite. And it's funny because I covered Jim Tressel when Tressel came from 1AA and Troy Smith was the quarterback. And like Jim won a championship with Craig Krenzel and with Maurice. And then all of a sudden, and Maurice was an unbelievably talented back. I'm not dismissing him at all. But then you have Troy Smith and Ted Ginn. And you have these weapons here that Jim has never coached in his life.
It completely changed his playbook.
He did. And it took him a little bit of time, I think, to understand the talent level of these guys and that we can do things with these dudes that I never had in Youngstown State, that I didn't have when I first got here.
You're right on
and I think
that.
Kevin's gone through that a little bit of, this is a quarterback that's got a skill set I've never had before. And I think you're seeing that play out in real time over these 6 games. And I think next year the playbook is going to look completely different than what you've seen.
I hope so. I've seen enough of 3 tight ends on the field at the same time.
And part of that was by necessity.
Yeah.
And now it's not.
Okay, very good.
Did Chubb get Or not Chubb. Did Hunt? Do you think that he's? You said that he doesn't have a lot of miles on him, and I agree with that. But those are really hard miles. You watch that guy run, and he
seeks contact.
He runs to contact,
and
for sure.
I gotta figure that's like double the mileage as soon as you run like that, as opposed to it's almost like it looks like he's willfully throwing his body into things rather than a lot of people they're more elusive running backs probably I would assume would have a longer shelf life.
Yeah, it is about the number of hits. Every guy is different. The shelf life at that position is what, 3.5 years?
Yeah.
I think the average running back stays
Just like
in the
an
league.
average run of his, though, I'm just like, well, both his knees are broken after that, right? Because he just tries to jump over somebody and breaks in half, and then somebody helps him up. I'm like, I somehow is still alive.
Yeah.
But that's him running every time.
My favorite collision is him on a safety.
Oh,
I mean, he just like, it's like the Oklahoma
He likes
drill.
to hit people.
He enjoys it.
He's told me, like, he loves hitting people. Like, that's...
Yeah.
You don't hear that from a running back very often.
No, you don't.
Different kind of mindset.
All right, we have 10 minutes left of the program, so we could do final takes, or do we have time for that?
Yeah, we got time for final takes, but I do want to remind everybody we have a show tomorrow. It's going to be a remote show, it'll be on Restream. We won't be in the studio. We're hiding from the cold too. We have the Browns post-game show coming up Saturday, if I get this graphic up here, and we also have a remote show Monday. So we will be live Monday from our houses after the holiday. You can watch us all there. Buy your memberships, subscribe, and we will take it away with final takes. Jay.
Will you guys all be in holiday pajamas?
Yeah, I will.
The only people that be on there is me and Adam the Bull, so we'll be on there.
Okay.
We ain't got no live, so we just jump on there.
Nice.
Yeah, we just ain't got nothing to do.
All right, who wants to start? Jace, you want to start?
I'll keep it simple. I had a long one that well, you know what? Let's do it. I'll do it anyway. Go look the story up. It's fairly terrifying. I don't have the name in front of me. I could find it, but I don't want to waste the time. There was a woman who's an attorney whose company is in litigation with Madison Square Garden. And she was taking her daughter to a play to see the Rockettes at Radio City Music Hall, which is owned by Madison Square Garden Company Group. She was not allowed entrance into the building because facial recognition picked her up as an attorney who was in litigation against the Madison Square Garden Entertainment Company. This is terrifying.
What a fun new world.
This is terrifying where this is going. And I think facial recognition has great, and technology in general has wonderful attributes to it. But this is the dark, scary side. And Jim Dolan is not a nice person to begin with, and we all knew that already. And I'm not even going to go there. But I just wanted to shed light on this and illustrate how terrifying that some of the stuff can be. This woman was not allowed into to see the Rockettes and she's not even in active litigation against it. It's just her company. She has nothing to do with the suit. And they did not allow her entry with her daughter. Her daughter had to go with her friends and the other mothers of this Girl Scout troop in to watch the show. She was flagged as soon as she went through the metal detectors. They called her out, they pulled her aside and told her she was not allowed in because of the active litigation. It's a scary, scary world where we are headed. And when I hear things like that, man, happy holidays. Mm-hmm. It's terrifying.
I was thinking about this. I do think that we're gonna die, like our generation, at just the right time. Anthony, sorry, man, but like we are the last generation that won't live in a horrific technological hellscape where we are being monitored and there's everything seeing us everywhere. I don't think that's too paranoid to say because this stuff's happening right now.
Right now.
And we're not turning into an Alex Jones thing, guys. We're not going to start selling you survival kits or anything like that, unless it's profitable, in which case we will.
No, we won't.
Important.
I'll be living in the cyberpunk world by the time I'm 35.
You'll be in the meta somewhere in another.
Her name is Kelly Conlon. Executive director, producer Steve was on it and texted her. Her name was Kelly Conlon. Go look up the story. It's terrifying.
Sounds fun. Good holiday read,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
So mine's pretty brief, but pretty important, I feel. I'm calling out one organization and one organization only, taking you to task because you deserve it. I'm talking to you, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. If you're not familiar with them, they are the rock Christmas act that travels around the country every year with that bum ba ba bum bum ba ba bum bum ba ba bum bum ba bum bum ba ba bum bum ba bum bum ba. Jesus is born. I don't know why they're so furious that God was born, that they need to rock that hard, but they feel the need to, and that's fine. Not really my cup of tea. Not my style of Christmas music. I'm a little bit more Bing Crosby, but Do your thing. It makes people very happy, and I'm okay with it. Here's my gripe. Why you always coming to Cleveland after Christmas?
Thank you. I was going to add that if that wasn't your point.
Why are you guys always coming here like on the 27th or the 30th? Why don't we rank high enough to get a pre-Christmas visit, Trans-Siberian Orchestra? All of our gifts have already been given by the time you're here. We're through with Christmas. Sick of it. You know what we don't want to hear anymore? Christmas carols. Especially furious ones, like the ones you deliver. You weirdos. Here you are. I got it right here. Let me see. Okay, the 22nd, wait, 21st, where are you at? You're in Chicago. Ooh, la-di-da, 2 shows. 23rd, all of a sudden, where you go? You go to Columbus.
C-Bus.
Wow.
2 shows in Columbus rather than coming to see us. Then they take 2 days off for Christmas. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the Christmas band, takes 2 days off for Christmas. How about you take those in July? Take a breather.
Yeah, they're not busy in July.
What are you doing then? Take the whole month. Nobody cares. You take off Christmas Eve and Christmas when you could come to Cleveland and put on a rock concert that I wouldn't come to, but some weirdos around here might like to. And then all of a sudden on the 26th, when you're all groggy, you wake up and you go to, where you go? Kansas City, then you go to Newark. Newark before us.
Well, we're in with Newark.
Then Dallas.
Wow.
Then you go to Detroit, and then it's not until we're in Houston the 30th. Look, you come here on New Year's Eve.
No, it's 31st.
The 31st is New Year's Eve. He's right. The 30th, the day, New Year's Eve. And that's what we warrant from you, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I'm done with you, and I never started. Get here early December to December 23rd next year, or play a Christmas show, or you've lost me as a potential fan forever. We deserve better.
Man, oh man.
It's been for years. 20 years they've been coming.
I never got that. Never got that.
Mix it up.
Yes.
Mix it up.
I'll tell you what, man. I never understood this either. Like, you know, right now I'm addicted to watching abandoned malls, right? Mm-hmm. And by per capita, Ohio has the most abandoned malls.
Doing all right.
In the world.
Yep. Number 1, guys.
Good to be one in something.
Yep.
When they're going through and the only thing, you know, is open is the food court, these places on lifelines. My question is, you always see these signs in these windows of the shops, and you're like, for lease. And it's like, if you own that building, you do know no one's coming there.
Right.
Why are you even advertising? Why would you keep that sign in the window? Mm-hmm. And it goes to a bigger thing. As Christmas and holiday seasons roll around, I really feel like we are more and more isolated. Before, you used to go to the malls, and that was the place to be. You used to get dressed up to go to the mall, to go get other things. Mm-hmm. It was a place where you saw other people, you run into other families. Hey, I ran into so-and-so at the store. Mm. But now, Amazon and the internet has made it to a place you don't even have to interact with nobody if you don't want to.
Right.
You don't have to see nobody.
Yeah,
if they can bring your food, they'll grocery shop for you and give it to you. You could get a doctor's visit online. Mm-hmm. Now everything is individualized to a point where social interaction does not count for anything. And I think that accounts for why people are socially awkward. Like, people do stuff now that you would never do ever, like when they're in public places, because guess what? They don't have any practice at it. Mm-hmm. So go out, do something, man. Hey, if you got a gift to get last second, go to a store and get it. Don't get the Amazon gift card. That's lazy, bro. But if you want to give me a gift card, I'll take it.
The irony is all the abandoned malls soon will be Amazon fulfillment centers.
That's true. Crazy.
The ones that aren't laser tag courses already.
Yeah.
Yep. Or inside a climate control storage.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. My final take will be fairly brief because it has to be. Anthony showed this picture. I don't know what LeBron James needs a social media director. He Instagrammed this picture yesterday before they lost to the Kings. And if you look up into the stands there, where it says King, that's the Kings, that's Sacramento Kings sign. He scrubbed the S in Kings, so it would be King, obviously framed so that could be in the picture. as if he's saying, look it out, I'm out here, I'm the only one in the gym putting in this work. And he was so petty to put the Kings into a king. And I saw a lot of funny replies. The funniest one was a Lakers logo with the AKERS scrubbed out.
Just the L.
Just the L. LeBron, you took the L, my man. I thought you reached a low on social when you posted when the World Cup Finals had 20 minutes left in regulation. He posted, man, I'm excited for this World Cup Final.
I didn't know that.
The game was almost over.
Right.
Hire
He's
somebody.
really trying.
He's trying too hard. That's the problem. That's the problem.
You know what, man? This is what happens when you know you ain't competing for no titles.
Yep. And
this is you just start doing
little
stuff.
wins.
You
It's
just
the little
doing
wins.
you on IG all the way. Like what you on IG all the time for, LeBron? Like come on,
All right, water bottles up, guys. We got a minute to go on the show.
boy.
Steve was worried that we were going to
Dang
take
it.
out the camera, so he's moved the basket so it's closer to me now. So I'm not going to complain.
Hold on, this is a difficult
It's
shot.
a different angle, and you can't bank it in.
Because it's like playing in the Carrier Dome. No, it's some depth perception here.
We got 30 seconds. Go. Short. J. Long. G. Bush. Oh, good. I get to win something.
This is all
for
real
2.
sad.
I'm 1 for 49.
Enjoy your Christmas holiday. If you're not going to spend it, if you're not going to spend tomorrow with us, we are doing a show. We will see you all tomorrow. Our overtime segment today, we're talking about a fan who was robbing banks so he could go watch his team play. See you
Happy
tomorrow.
holidays, everyone.